as Bryson Neal rounding, and it's redemption time here at Big Buck Farm as Bryson Neal takes the win here at the Tiger Run GNCC.
From the GNCC podium, make some noise one more time. Your winner here today, Bryson Neal.
Check.
And we're off and rolling. We just now completed the first lap in this one in the 4x4 Pro class. Landon Wolf leading this one. And boy, pretty good lead for him after one. And we take a look at our WXC. The 419 of Emily Wise out in front. Brandon Frazier, great start for him. The 784 sitting in the number 2 spot. And Cody Collier, the 823 sitting back in the number 3 spot right now. Some noise. There he is. He points. Good job, buddy. Landon Wolf takes a win here at the Tiger Run GNCC. Take the noise one more time. Your overall winner here today, Landon Wolf. Boy, how about that finish out of Hannah Hunter in the WXC class? So Hannah Hunter going to return center of the box, snagging the big win. Going full send on that last lap.
For row number 1, the Xc1 Pro here at the Dunlop Tires Tiger Run EMPB GNCC. Red background and Hot Rod Charlie Mullins into the final chicanes here at this Tiger Run GNCC, taking the big win at round number 2, Charlie Mullins.
He's on the black, by the way. So this is like the... All right, snacks.
For road number 1, the WXC here at the Dunlop Tires Tiger Run GNCC. And back in GNCC, the 828 of Mackenzie Tricker on the Enduro Engineering Fly Racing Factory Back KTM.
Dust. Major factor has been the topic of conversation. I think we knew that coming into this weekend. It's Corey Steed sitting in the number 3 spot. Taylor Jones just checked in 4th, all over the rev limiter. Checks in, and it's a checkered flag for Becca Sheets. Thumbs up in the air, congratulations to Becca Sheets on the win. Boy, so a convincing win for Becca. Some big battles early on between her and Archer. And after that, boy, Becca checking out to Layerville.
to be leading the championship here at round 5 and I guess be the guy that everyone's looking to beat on the weekend is a good feeling. I think I do really good under pressure. I strive for it, and it just helps me perform better. Trying to stay fit and strong and keep it fun and look forward to the races, because that's what I live for. You know, these head-to-head races is why I love GNCC, and just going out there banging bars with everybody is what I look forward to. So buckle up. It's gonna be a long season.
So I'm going to ask you one more time. Union County, are you ready to go? GNCC Racing! 10 seconds. You know
Ricky Russell out in front, Stu Baylor in tow, and Ben Kelly got the X out, trying to chop away at that lead.
Goggles are off. They're going to get fresh goggles. No senses of urgency, none whatsoever. He's off and rolling. Around the final turn, he brings it home with a checkers fly, and Stu Baylor takes the win.
That was a pretty subdued celebration.
It was.
Maybe we missed something. Maybe there's...
Raceway, a location with great history in the world of GNCC. And today, the inaugural Hoosier GNCC with all the same names. Ben Kelly leading the point standings, but hard to deny the charge that Stu Baylor's put on, now with 3 wins in a row. Can he make it 4 here today? Or Ben Kelly return to the center of the box? GNCC on Racer TV starts now.
Are you ready to go GNCC Racing?
Well, good afternoon, folks, and welcome to round number 6 of the Grand National Cross Country Series presented by Specialized, an AMA National Championship. We're here in beautiful Crawfordsville, Indiana for the Hoosier GNCC. That's right, the Shaver Family Farm Ironman Raceway, a location with so much history in the world of GNCC. We get to race it twice this year, but I can guarantee you these riders will see a different track today than what we're used to seeing and will see this fall. More on that in a moment from Gerard Bolton, but first, let's talk about what we did last round. Coming off a big win, his 3rd win in a row, Stu Baylor. 3 wins in a row. Not the best start to the season he wanted. He did not race round 1, an 8th place finish in round 2, but since then, it has been the Stu Baylor show. Can anybody stop the 514 and Pro Yamaha from making it 4 in a row? I can guarantee you there's one guy who wants to put a stop to it. That is your points leader, the 530 KTM of Ben Kelly. That points gap now only 10 points between Stu Baylor and Ben Kelly. Ben Kelly needs to make something happen here today. He's coming off a 3rd place finish, and you know the 530 KTM wants that bike center of the box at the end of the day. And finishing 2nd last week was the 212 Coastal Gas machine of Ricky Russell. We saw some amazing riding out of Ricky Russell early this season, but he wasn't able to put together that 3-hour race. Safe to say, he whipped that in round number 5, and expect to see the 212 of Ricky Russell a podium regular moving forward. And, of course, the Xc2. We talked about Stu Baylor with the 3 wins in a row, but look at this guy, Johnny Gerard, the 969 Coastal Gas ride, 4 wins in a row coming into today. He is without a doubt in control of the season, and I can't help but think Johnny Gerard in the back of his head knows he was in that championship points chase late last season until an injury before the last round kept him from riding and kept him out of championship contention. Maybe that's in the back of Johnny Gerard's head. Whatever it is, it's working for him, and he is dangerous right now. Finishing 2nd was Craig DeLong. Craig DeLong wrapped up round 5 and said, we got to make some adjustments. I got to come out swinging in the next round at the Hoosier GNCC, so look for some big things out of DeLong today. And, of course, finishing 3rd place, how about the ride out of Thorne Devlin, the 109 Beta machine, his best finish on the year. Welcome to the box, Thorne Devlin. Can he make it happen today with another podium finish? And hard to mention the Xc2 without Mike Wachowski. He started the season with a win, but has not had good finishes since then. Can Wachowski rebound and put that bike on the box here today? And last but not least, of course, the FMF Xc3, the 125s. They sing the song of our people. And how about the season out of Jonathan Johnson on the Husqvarna, the 981 Magda 1 Motorsports Husqvarna, the only rider at the Pro-Am or Pro level who is still perfect after 5 rounds of racing. It has been his season, and we'll see what he's got in store for the Hoosier GNCC. All that coming up next, but first, let's throw it down to Gerard Bolton with our Yamaha track description.
Well, thanks, guys. Welcome here to Ironman Raceway for the first ever Hoosier GNCC. It's really, really unique opportunity here. We've never came out and raced Ironman Raceway this early in the season. Things are totally different than when we were here for the Ironman. The leaves are really, really green. Usually they're changing colors. I've seen them green here when we've shown up before, and in the week we set up the track, they've turned right into those beautiful fall colors we see. But that's not the case this time. These are actually really, really unique conditions. It's not muddy like we're used to at the Ironman. In fact, I think it's going to get dusty. But the good news is all those really, really fun Ironman trails everybody really enjoys, we're using a lot of those, and we're using some stuff that hasn't been used in a few years. However, we did change things up. We took out some of the hills, linked together some of these sections totally different. So while we're here at Ironman Raceway, don't forget, this isn't the Ironman, this is the Hoosier. So, because of that, we're not running the iconic Ironman hill. That's iconic to the Ironman. That's not iconic to Hoosier. We want to save that for the Ironman in the fall, do something totally different feel here this weekend at the Hoosier. That's this weekend's Yamaha track description. Back to you guys. This weekend at the Hoosier. A track description. Back to you.
Rocky Mountain ATV MC, retailer, distributor, manufacturer, product developer, parts tester. This is what we do, but who we are is something much simpler. We're riders, like you. 100% employee owned and operated, a company built by riders, entirely for riders. Rocky Mountain ATV MC, get ready.
The directive: advance human performance beyond biological limitation.
This Racer TV broadcast is brought to you by Specialized Turbo E-Bikes. It's you, only faster. And by Rocky Mountain ATV MC. Get ready. And welcome back to RacerTV.com's GNCC Live. Rodney Tomlin here with you on the starting line of the Ironman Raceway for the Hoosier GNCC Round 6 of America's Premier Off-Road Racing Championship. Just wrapping up our opening ceremonies as far as prayers and national anthem. And right now we are about set to exit the starting line with our Monster Energy Activation Transport. But before we do that, we have to introduce our starting lineup here today. And of course, as we do that, we'll be doing that in accordance to championship points through the first 5 rounds of GNCC racing. So let's meet our starting lineup. Rolling to the line first today, riding aboard the number 530 from Harwinton, Connecticut on an FMF KTM factory racing machine, Ben Kelly. He is second in points with the season opening win aboard the number 314 from Honey Path, South Carolina on a KLM Milwaukee Gas, the Grizzly Grant Baylor. Fresh off 2 wins in a row, riding aboard the number 514 from Hodges, South Carolina on an AM Pro Yamaha, Stu Baylor. Ranked 4th in points, riding aboard the number 3 from Livingston, Tennessee on the Magna One Motorsports factory-backed Husqvarna, Jordan Ashburn. Rolling to the line 5th today, riding aboard the number 114, former GNCC champion from Australia, riding on the Babbitt's Online Monster Energy Team Green Kawasaki, Josh the Freight Train Strang. Riding aboard the number 212, he is 6th in points from Duval, Washington on a Coastal Gas factory racing machine, the Rough and Rowdy Ricky Russell. 7th in points, riding aboard the number 206 from Winstead, Connecticut on the FMF factory KTM, Josh Toad. Riding aboard the number 523, 8th in points. Fresh off one of his greatest rides in GNCC out of Boonville, North Carolina on Ampro Yamaha, Lane Michael. And back with us once again today aboard the 989 from Williamstown, West Virginia on the Rockstar Energy Factory Husky, Ben Van Duval. Also riding aboard a Rockstar Energy Factory Husqvarna racing machine from Morganton, North Carolina. He's the Intimidator, Trevor Bollinger. Up next aboard the 543 from Chile on a Red Bull MCS Racing Sherco, Benjamin Herrera. The number 185 from Bainbridge, Ohio on an SNS Motorsports Twin Air Kenda Tire KTM, Levi Keller. The 121 from Logan, Ohio on a factory beta machine backed by CycleSmart Worldwide Chiropractics, Corey Buttrick. The number 930 from Pembine, Wisconsin on a Roos Factory Hoosier Off-Road Ziegler Motorsports KTM, Talon Hansen. And that, ladies and gentlemen, your starting lineup for this, the Hoosier GNCC. And now, as I got so excited in anticipation of today's race start, it is time to instruct our DJ Judd. If you would, my good fellow and my good friend, take this Monster Energy Activation Transport right over there. So, if you will, race fans, join with me as we remind DJ Judd, remove the meat. That's right, the Monster Energy Activation Transport on its way off the start line here this afternoon as that first turn now clear for the Hoosier GNCC to resume here at the Ironman Raceway. A beautiful early May spring day in Indiana, and the heartland is alive. There's no doubt about it, my friends, and the hearts are pumping here in Indiana. Over 300 riders on the starting line here today for this afternoon race. Yep, nearly 800 this morning and over 200 youth. It's a record-breaking day here at the Hoosier GNCC. All attention turning to Ricky Towery up near turn number 1 as he takes the podium and lets them know 1 minute before the orchestra of starts gets underway here at the Hoosier GNCC. Oh, yeah, folks. The next time we see Stephen Ricky Tower, it'll be that blue flag waving. That means 30 seconds away from getting things up and rolling. It also means a dead engine. So there it goes. We are now less than 30 seconds away. Shut them down, guys. Shut them down. Shut them down. Shut them down. And here we are on a beautiful and great day in Indiana, Crawfordsville, as a matter of fact. And I got to ask you, are you ready to go GNCC racing? I don't even think I heard that. I really didn't even hear that. So I'm going to ask you one more time, Crawfordsville, are you ready to go GNCC racing? 10 seconds. And row number 1, the Xc1 Pro, will be off and rolling here at the Hoosier GNCC. Around that first turn, heading for turn 2, it is the number 3, Jordan Ashburn. Thad Duvall in the number 2 spot. And Lane Michael will open up in the number 3 position, heading into turn number 3, Xc2 250 Pro, Bench Nalco. Also Cody Barnes, Simon Johnson, Thorne Devlin, Lyndon Snodgrass, Liam Draper, Michael Wachowski, Brendan Poling, Jesse Ansley, Craig DeLong, Ray Barbusa, Angus Riordan, Michael McLean, Vincent Smith. 10 seconds. Hunter Neuwirth, Christopher Vendetti, Leighton Smale, and Johnny Gerard. And it is the number 25, Ben Nelko out of Oquippa, Pennsylvania, on a 760 Motorsports Husqvarna backed by FXR. Grabbing that early lead, FMF XC3 125 Pro-Am. Zach Hayes, Russell Bobbitt, Jeremy Lallemand, Ben Parsons, Chase Colville, Noah Clark, Michael Pillar. 10 seconds. Eli Childers, Mac Fernandez, Jason Lipscomb, Jake Froman, Jack Joy, and Jonathan Johnson. Around the first turn, in the turn number 2, they dive hard, they dive deep. It's the 332. Noah Clark this time out of Ozark, Missouri. Looks like going to maybe snag that early lead unofficially out of Marionville Power Sports Fast Company Fly Racing Machine. As we go to the Open A class now, as we see Chase Hayes, Will Stephenpiper, Evan Earl, Tyler Breniff, Tyler Soriano. 10 seconds. Tanner Whipple, Gavin Meinart, also Ethan Souter, Kenton Coleman, Trenton Boffman, Nate Miser, Hutch Jenkins, Jaden Walker, Eric Douglas, Tucker Grims, Josh Farrell, Jake Green, Dylan Carano, Marshall Fox, Joshua Ellis, and Daniel Spurgeon. 474 grabbing the early lead. Josh Farrell from North Wilmington, Pennsylvania on a 5-star Psycho Motor X Fly Racing Bag Machine. 250A class coming up next. JoJo Cunningham, Dakota DeFore, Braden Nolette, Neil Enman, Zachary Davidson, Jeremy Wallstrom. 10 seconds. Bubs Tasha, Benjamin Wright, Bolton Baroff, Alex Luger, Wesley Schmidt, Jeremy Hamilton, Tanner Collins, Kevin Pools, Alex Sadler, Logan Kiddock, Cole Whitmer, Joshua Hatch, Tommy Fortune, Tristan Landon, Trevor Maley, and Kyle Dutton. 224 on his helmet is Bubs Tasha from North Falmouth, Massachusetts, on a Loud Fuel Company. Factory Connection, Hutch Motorsports back ride, 4-stroke A lights class coming up next. Tyler Palmer, Cooper Jones, Peyton Harden, Joshua Connor, Trevor Getz. 10 seconds. Sam Hall, Easton Morgan, Max Russ, Alexander Patterson, Philip Dagnanese, Russell Smith, Mitchell Owaby, Lewis Holt, Gary Inman, Lance Machino, Lake Plowman, Samuel Hinkle, Jason Crawford, Joshua Guffey, Zachary Johnson, Kobe Becker, Nick DiBartolo, Blason Moore. Your leader, the 54, Cooper Jones out of Lawton, PA, on an Ampro Yamaha, backed by Factory Connection, FMF. Also Caleb Baltimore, Grant Davis, Jay Snopp, all in that class as well. To the 150A class, it's Toby Cleveland, Lucas Valabinito, Jaden Donners, Sean Myers, Cole Thorne. 10 seconds. Hunter Smith, Ryan Piper, Colin Cadizi, Blake Kohler, and Justin Sisti. .213 on machine. Toby Cleveland from Aaron, New York, on a Fly Racing John's Equipment Rental West Family Racing Machine. Senior A 40-plus class coming up next. Smiling Frank Messina, Shotgun Sean Remington, Larry Sylvia, Vinny Tomic, Brent Belso, Brandon Monroe, Surly Amancio. 10 seconds. Ignacio Labosa, Harley Anderson, Joe Dean, Jeremy Dexter, and Jimmy Johnson. All right, now on that first turn, it's a dogfight. Oh, sneaking right in there. Was that the 63 Shotgun Sean Remington out of New Salem, Pennsylvania, grabbing that early lead. Junior AB 25-plus class coming up next. Grant Marriott, Austin Franklin, Jeremy Custer, Jeremy Houston, Caleb Haynes, Sam Beck, Dalton Riddle, and Chris Montgomery. 10 seconds. Along with Chris Wolf, Dylan Narrow, Nicholas Karch, Logan Pollard, Brady Stefanik, Taylor Myers, Dakota Duran, Jesse Kildo, Matt Modick, and Andrew Boggs. .905, Andrew Boggs from Masontown, West Virginia, on the MCI Racing Outlaw Motorsports 5-star Power Sports back ride, snagging that early lead here in the farmland of Indiana. The Bet A 30-plus class coming up next with Joe Marsh, Nathan Ulring, Danny Haftel, Kyle Dangler, Joshua Wyatt, Andrew Smith. 10 seconds. Cameron Ishmael, Joshua Brown, Ryan Inman, Callan Goodman, Fabian Barada, Josh Knapp, Brandon Cook, Josh Keys, James Bauer, Jared Jordan, Dominic Franchini, and also Sammy Doris. Number 618, Jared Jordan from Cookeville, Tennessee. That's your early leader, 250B class. Coming up next, Ethan Dingle, Peyton Wiles, Tyler Shields, Austin Glass, Willie Patterson, Braden Sylvester, Rodrigo Correa, Brad Russell, Jacob Lancaster, Colton Shields, Ty Hughes, Wyatt Bell, Donald Fisher. 10 seconds. Landon Beatty, Ross Warner, Nick Graff, Aiden Griffs, Tyler Martin, Dakota Cunningham, Lane Whitmer, Cameron Madison, Samuel Goins, Andrew Inman, Billy Saliga, and Clayton Stewart. The number 95, Ethan Dingle from Bobtown, Pennsylvania. The Morgantown Motorsports Back Machine literally lives in the shadows of High Point Raceway. Open B class coming up next. Dylan Fleming, Miles Gefkin, Austin Hovatter, Trenton Madison, Zachary Dennis, Scott Collins, Craig Oberholzer, Matthew Harris, Weston Williams. 10 seconds. Colin Johnson, Chad Dickerdorf, Alex Grunder, John Hawkins, Todd Dickerdorf, Colby Gibson, Landon Rogers, Justin Bowling, Nick Courtney, Jeffrey Russell, Zachary Sanders, Austin Bruni, Jacob Maynard, Ryman Hymick, Ryan Tucker, Michael Horwath, and Burt Marsiglia. Dylan Fleming out of Roan Mountain, Tennessee on a BRP at Cherubies Performance Cycle Back Sherco, grabbing the early lead. As we go to the four-stroke B lights class, Anthony Blackburn, Hayden Schultz, Trevor Golden, Garrett Mundy, Ty Ely, Cole Morgan, Levi Ward, Tyler Meadows, Aiden White. 10 seconds. Thomas Allen, Max Grant, Austin Sentinel, Brock Belsole, Cody Mason, Rayleigh Messer, Clayton Robbins, Levi Self, Nicholas Hessler, Heisler, Ryder Havens, and Caden Sims. 4:58. Brock Belsole from Medina, Ohio on the Husqvarna. To the Vet B class, Adam Odell, Cody Hosta, Larry Hopper, Mason Stevens, Damian Madison, Nathan Dickey, Michael Bowling, Andrew Lowell, Jason Howat, Leon Fox. 10 seconds. Brad Evans, Kenny Howat, Nick Resch, Michael Funk, Joshua Carey, Daniel Aaron, Brian Resatorsky, Adam Smith, Ambrose Kolaski, David Ravinsky, and Brandon Belcher. Oh, a little too sharp in that first turn, but the 334 looks like Mason Stevens out of Wayne, West Virginia. Out Wayne, going to take a whole shot again this weekend. Looks like senior B40 plus class. Charles Becker, Brent Maynard, Tim Healy, Jeremy Borkat, also Jonathan Randolph, Mark Roth. 10 seconds. Dave Yuglas, also Adam Nastic, Felipe Branger, Nicholas Ross, Chad Atkins, Stephen Young, Andy Whitmire, Matt Waddell, Roger Garmanson, Ray Hinch, Scott Dowland, and Rhett Elliott. .403. Adam Nastic from Garfield Heights, Ohio. Brought to you by the Elyria Fire Department, Point View Cycle, and Rocky Mountain ATV MC. 150B class getting set to roll next. It's Ryan Deal, Hayden Serena, Peyton Gwynn, Matthew Hollenbeck, Wyatt Maddock. 10 seconds. Paul Young, Aiden Myers, Casey Tishnell, Christopher Eddy, Brandon Farmer, Carter Wendland, Blaine Barrier, Kyle Forrester, James Romine, and Caden Childers. Oh, yeah, here we go. Ooh, that one mixed up pretty good there through that first turn. Who's it going to? Ooh, it's almost still doing it. It's the 321. Peyton Gwynn from Parkersburg, West Virginia, on a Dunlop Fox or FXR Flow Vision and Crash Addicts back machine. That was a good one, no doubt about it. Over 300 riders now traversing the woods here in farm country of Indiana, my friends. And it is the Hoosier GNCC as we got the stage set and 3 hours of racing lying ahead. How's it all going to end? Stick around to find out. GNCC Live continues after this.
I'm Jordan Ashburn, and you're watching GNCC Live at RacerTV.com.
owned and operated, a company built by riders entirely for riders. Rocky Mountain ATV MC. Get ready.
The directive: advance human performance beyond biological limitation.
Born of family values and a homegrown work ethic, Cometic Gaskets seals your machine so you can focus on the finish line. Cometic Gaskets are the competitive standard for racers who demand the very best. Cometic Gaskets are constructed from superior materials designed to perform in the most demanding environment, whether it's championships on the line or a day in the dirt with friends. Professionals and enthusiasts depend on Cometic. Cometic Gaskets, sealing championships since 1989.
AMSOIL runs on freedom and has since 1972. We changed the industry by formulating the first API-qualified 100% synthetic motor oil. The rest of the market has been trying to follow our lead ever since. But a head start is a head start. We punish our products firsthand in our world-class laboratories and beyond. Because some things can't be learned from a test tube. Run with us.
This Racer TV broadcast is brought to you by Specialized. Specialized Turbo e-bikes. It's you, only faster. And by Rocky Mountain ATV MC. Get ready.
And welcome back to GNCC Live. I'm Mikey Waynes. You've already heard from my colleague Rodney Tomlin down on the starting line with those iconic 10-second calls. This is round number 6 in Crawfordsville, Indiana, the Hoosier GNCC. And we welcome you out there in the world of Racer TV. Thanks for joining us. You're looking at the Monster Mile right now and the inaugural running of the Hoosier GNCC. So these riders ripping through here. I don't know if you guys are watching commercials. Hopefully you were, because if not, you might have missed it. Running order as it stands right now. Who's out in front? Who else? Stu Baylor is out in front. I believe I'll give you the quick rundown here, and then we'll look at those start replays, then we'll jump into the race in action. But last we saw as they came through the Monster Mile, it was Baylor out in front, Lane Michael in the number 2 spot, Jordan Ashburn in second, Thad Duvall fourth, fifth was Ricky Russell, sixth Ben Kelly, and then Josh Strang behind him. So to set the stage, I believe we're going to take a look at our Specialized whole shot replay. So taking a look at the Xc1 Start Replay. Ricky Towery with the wave into the flag there. And how about the start? I mean, 3 guys out front early that need podiums. They need wins, but they need podiums. They want podiums. Jordan Ashburn snagging it right there. Thad Duvall in the number 2 spot. And Lane Michael sitting in the number 3 position as they rounded the corner there in the fields here in Crawfordsville, Indiana, and into the woods. A sight we're not used to seeing at Ironman Raceway. It's May. There's leaves on the trees. And then, of course, the XC2. Chase Colville's automatic. Today, nah, somebody else going to take that whole shot away from him. How about it, XC2 jockeying for position? I believe it was Ben Nelko jumping out in front and grabbing that early lead. And you can see our picture-in-picture there. We'll do one more of these whole shot recaps for you. Okay, that was part of it. Okay. So there went XC2. I think that was, unless it cut out on me. Okay, so that was still XC2. XC3, your 125s, here they come. Singing I called this earlier, the 125s are the song of our people. The sounds they make, there's nothing like it. The 125s out there singing. And how about it, Noah Court out there grabbing the whole shot in the XC3 class. So there you go. You are now caught up as to what's going on for the start of this Hoosier GNCC. And we'll pop out of this one, and Johnny Gallagher joining us in the booth now. I think we're going to take a look at our Yamaha Racing track map. And Johnny, I'll let you talk a little bit about the track map here, because, man, you rode it yesterday, and it was a gnarly one.
Yeah, absolutely, Mikey. You know, it's a great track here for the Hoosier. Obviously, we're familiar with this Ironman property, but a very different layout this weekend. We've got some new features. We've got Wayne's Honda, which we're actually told is Wayne Eller from the Phoenix Honda. Not Mikey Wayne's Honda.
I had a few people ask me about it. I said, no, not me. Not yet.
But there is actually where you see that Wayne's Honda there out past basically between the 11-mile marker and the 1, so just near the end of the track there. It actually is kind of grown into a tree, if you got to see it. It's been there for several years. It's an older Honda. Yeah, it's a great track. It incorporates so many of the Ironman features that we're so used to seeing in terms of the great dirt, the great facility, of a fun, fast, flowy track. Looking like it is just over an 11-mile track today. And I'll tell you what, it's great conditions that these guys are up against. And it's provided some real great racing all weekend. And I don't anticipate it to be any different here now in this 1 p.m. afternoon race, this pro race. You know, these guys, they started fast and furious. We're not going to have the luxury of being able to follow them through the woods. You know, we can see them, but it's going to be hard to pick out how they are. Again, Mikey, as you pointed out, this facility, this Ironman facility, looks very different here for the April.
April, yeah.
Just coming into the beginning of May. We got a lot of foliage on the trees, and things definitely do look a lot different. But the course itself, I tell you, very dynamic course. It's got a lot of speed to it, a lot of flow. It's very fast. So the guys that are able to kind of find their rhythm early, and, you know, it sounds cliche to say, but just pin it, you're going to see some gaps open up. Ironically, yesterday, from what I'm told, in the ATV race, you know, there was 9 or 10 guys pretty much nose to tail.
Oh, it was nuts. It was almost wheel to wheel at times. Hunter Hart threw the lasso on Hunter Hart out Austin Abney early in that one too. Great start. So we saw, honestly, about a carbon copy of what we're seeing on screen right now with our riders, and there is Stu Baylor out in front in this one.
Actually, that was Lane Michael.
Yeah, that was Lane.
Stu Baylor now in second, so we've had a lead change. Lane Michael leading the way, Stu Baylor in second, and Jordan Ashburn in third. So what you're seeing on screen there was as they checked in at the completion of lap, and we're making air quotes.
Air quotes, yeah.
It's a short lap for lap 1 because the track starts at about the 8-mile marker, and then it goes from there. The finish is just after the 11, so it's only about 3 miles. I think they were probably doing somewhere in a 6-minute range for that first lap. I can't see the screen from here, but it was Stu Baylor Jr. leading. Lane Michael was second. Jordan Ashburn third. Thad Duvall, Ricky Russell rounding up the top 5. Then Ben Kelly, Josh Strang, Mike Witkowski, the leader of that XC2 class, already in just 3 miles up to that 8th place overall. Ben Nelko in 9th. Liam Draper in 10th. So 8, 9, and 10 in your OA already XC2 guys. And I wouldn't be surprised to see them at the completion of our first actual full lap move even further up. But here's one thing I will say. With Lane Michael out front, Stu Baylor in second, those guys are both phenomenal sprinters.
Oh, yeah.
I think the pace is going to be pretty fast right from the drop.
Oh, without a doubt, without a doubt. One quick correction I had. I think I'd mentioned Chase Colville being the whole shot automatic in XC2. Correction, XC3 is what I meant. I was a little early on that one.
He was close, though. He was close. He was right there on the outside.
Close.
And I tell you what, it's funny how these things work out. 2 turns in, did you see who got to the front already?
Oh, yeah,
the
Chase.
number 1. No.
Oh, it was the number 1.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, so
he needs it. He needs it. Zach Hayes out of that XC3.
Yep. He got to the front, and obviously Jonathan Johnson's been kind of the star of the show this year in that XC3 class. So look at this. Here we see on screen. Now look at this. Stu Baylor has dropped back to third. Jordan Ashburn has made the pass up to second. Lane Michael leading the way, and look at that dust kicking up. The wind's blowing it out of their way, so vision not really a factor at the moment. But for Stu Baylor back there in third, he's got a little bit of dust kicking up. So, and these guys, whoa.
And speaking of wind, producer Adam Gordon just said, that's the wind. Don't judge us.
Yeah, that's wild. But so Lane Michael pushing the pace early. He is still leading the way on that Ampro Yamaha. And then in second place there, it's the Magna One Lubricants Husqvarna of Jordan Ashburn. Third place as they drop down next to our picturesque Ironman pond here, it is Stu Baylor, and these three starting to gap out on the rest of the XC1 field.
For those folks watching at home, I know if you haven't been keeping up with this on social media, well, if you have, you know that Travis Pastrana and Ryan Sipes racing with us today. If you're wondering, why aren't Mikey and Johnny Gallagher talking about those guys out on the track? Well, that's because they raced in the morning race. And, Adam, if you got that dialed up, I think we can show you a quick word we got in with those guys prior to today's morning race from Travis Pastrana. And okay, sounds good. So more on that later. But yeah, if you're wondering, hey, where are those guys at right now? They're not. They're chilling at the trailer. And Becca Sheets, she took it to them. I mean, come on.
Yeah, it was pretty cool to watch. I know. Obviously those guys have a lot of speed, but it just goes to show the level of that WXC class right now. Just 2 short years ago, Ryan Sipes was out there battling for wins in the XC1 class, and obviously the conditions are different. And I talked to Ryan a little bit after the race, and he openly admitted, he said, "Man, it was hectic out there with 750 riders." He said, I pushed pretty hard early to try and catch those girls. He said, and Ryan ended up physically catching and passing, I believe, all of the girls except for Becca and Rachel Archer. But he was never able to get to them. I know he did have a crash, but I think he ended up, I don't know if he was second overall
Sipes ended up second overall on adjusted time.
Okay.
Travis, I'm not sure. Travis had some trouble there at the end. You guys check out Racer X. He mentioned, he kind of gave you a race recap, pretty comical in true Pastrana style. Two guys on the track. We just got a glimpse there of Rockstar Husky riders. Both Trevor Bollinger and Thad Duvall looking for some good rides today. Kind of those building blocks, if you will.
Well, building blocks is just these guys, and I don't say this sarcastically, them being out there on the track.
Yes.
For so long. We've had that Rockstar Husqvarna rig here with just Craig DeLong. Not taking anything away from Craig, but I believe that's the leg on the drone, and that goes to show how windy it is. That thing is tilted up, trying to get the shot still. So kudos to our drone operator. He's flying out there. Yesterday we heard gusts of up to 45. I don't know what they're calling for today, but you can see those trees down there to the right moving. Folks, it is a windy one out there.
Yeah, no doubt.
But it's honestly, with just having Thad Duvall and Trevor Bollinger out there on those Rockstar Husqvarnas, it's great having that team back in action. And honestly, Thad, an unfortunate mishap with that fuel line last race. Yeah. But Trevor that we're getting word from the spotters on the ground saying that Jordan Ashburn just smoked a tree. We don't believe that he's had any issues, but he may have given up that position back to Stu Baylor. So it may be the Ampro Yamahas 1 and 2 yet again. They were leading 1 and 2 early. They flip-flop position, and then Jordan Ashburn got in the middle of them. But here we'll see. There's Lane Michael still out front at mile marker 8. This is the bottom of the FMF PowerPoint, and there it is. Stu Baylor in second, so Ashburn has given up that spot, and we'll see how quickly he was able to get right back up and rolling.
Okay, good. Yeah, good for Ashburn, and two riders right now. Ashburn in that number 3 spot, and of course Lane up in the number 1 spot. These two guys need podiums, and they believe they can win the GNCC overall. I believe they can win it. It's just a matter of putting together that complete 3-hour race for them. But with that said, Jordan Ashburn, like the epitome to me of consistency. He's always right there. It's just he's got to make that next turn if he wants to pick up a win.
And we saw, it looks like actually Ricky Russell now up into that 4th place spot. So he's gotten around Thad Duvall, and he was very, very close behind Ashburn. Now here is Trevor Bollinger. So he's a little ways back, but Duvall is right up in that battle along with Josh Strang and also Ben Kelly. Ben Kelly was the other rider they were kind of all right together there. Now here we go. Here's the Grizzly Bear. Grizzly Grant.
Bring him up.
He is a ways back, but it's Grant. It's early. He could catch a flow, and next thing you know, he'd be right up with the lead.
In other words, Grant is on par. for what he does. He likes to be back there, feel the track out, and then once we come lap 2 and we get into that third hour, look out, he's rolling.
There is Josh Toth. There is Corey Buttrick, so that rounds out about the top 10 or 11 in that XC1 Pro class. And soon, we should be seeing XC2 pop over the hill here at the FMF PowerPoint. Who will it be? Is it still going to be Mike Wachowski leading the way? Will Ben Nelko be leading? Could it be Liam Draper? Any of the other guys? And here they come. Oh, that is actually Benjamin Herrera. That's another XC1 rider there on the Sherco. So it's Liam Draper leading the way, followed very closely by the 282 of Mike Wachowski. And there's 969 of Jonathan Gerard, then Snodgrass, then Jesse Ansley. Shout out to Jesse Ansley. He needs this one, folks, to be up there in touch with the lead group. And there is our defending champion, Craig DeLong, on that #1 Rockstar Husqvarna. So that's about your top 6 or 7. There was, looked like that may have been Ben Nelko there. Didn't see who the other rider was. Could have been Thorne Devlin. Another rider had a great ride.
Oh, absolutely.
2
podium
weeks
finish.
ago, his first ever podium here at GNCC. So shout out to him. Did it kind of quietly. We didn't realize it until the race was almost over.
For sure. Craig DeLong, another guy. Talked with him last week after the race, and I said, man, what's going on? I mean, defending champ and Johnny Gerard. If you know, last season, him, Gerard, and Wachowski had that battle going down to the very last round. But Gerard has really been taking it to these guys these last, 4 rounds? 4 in a row.
Yeah.
And Craig said, man, honestly, it's back to square one. It's back to the drawing board. We got to figure out something to stop the bleeding. So Craig DeLong, definitely not the start he wants. He wants to be up front with those guys. But, boy, he's got, 2.5 hours to get it done.
That was actually Ben Nelko that just came by there, so he has dropped a good ways back from the lead group where he was after getting that phenomenal start. Looks like now he's back with the XC3 riders, as there is Chase Colville coming by. Mr. Automatic Hole Shot Man didn't get it done today, but it looks like he is leading that XC3 class at the moment. I did not see Jonathan Johnson. May have come by, but I did not see him. There is Jay Lipscomb. So yeah, maybe we missed Jonathan Johnson. He may have come by. He may have been in that pack of XC2 riders up a little bit further there here at the FMF PowerPoint at mile marker number 8. And here we go on screen. Stu Baylor now taking the lead. He's gotten around teammate Lane Michael there in the Monster Mile. Lane Michael there in 2nd, and 3rd place, we believe, is still, they'll be coming the other way, the number 3 of Jordan Ashburn. But on the charge, it is Ricky Russell on that number 212 Coastal Racing Gas. But there you go. There's your 2 leaders, the 2 Ampro Yamaha, Stu Baylor, Lane Michael, and there's Jordan Ashburn.
I was waiting. I was anticipating. Ricky Russell, this is a great start for him. He's a rider that is coming off that podium finish, the one that we talked about, finding that 3-hour speed, and just the building blocks, pieces, whatever cliche you want to use, seemed to come full circle last round, and that's the Ricky Russell we expected to see. And I think looking at him out there right now, I think he's definitely got very high confidence, and look for Ricky Russell to be a podium contender, I think, for the rest of the year.
Absolutely, I couldn't agree more. And there is Trevor Bollinger, again, back on track, and not all that far behind this lead group at the moment. We are almost 30 minutes into this one, so we're basically 1/6 of the way there. And, Trevor seemed to, at least to me at the last race, he seemed to get more comfortable, get faster as the race went on. We saw him work his way up and up and up in the overall standings as the race progressed through its 3-hour mark. Again, Grant Baylor, the rider that kind of seems to be suffering a little bit here, but again, that is on par for the course for Grant early in his races. And there is Grant on that KLM Motorsports gas, and that was a winner of round 1, and he's been kind of trying to, I guess, recapture that magic ever since then. Came out swinging at round 1. He's had some great rides, but still up there in the top 3 in the points. Corey Buttrick, again, the factory beta, seems to be getting a little bit stronger each race. Josh Toth struggling early, but we saw he was another rider we see kind of seems to get stronger as the races go on.
Grant Baylor, a rider, he's got three 4th place finishes this season. Really the only bad round he's had is that round 4 he had a 7th. Bad for him, I should say. But he's kind of been that bubble rider. But with all that said, you don't make the podium, you don't get necessarily a lot of the spotlight. He's sitting 2nd in points right now, and every conversation is, well, Stu's only 10 behind Ben Kelly. Well, man, I mean, Grant Baylor is even closer than that. He's 9 points, 1 point closer. Grant is in this thing.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Without a doubt, in this thing. And the guy we've not really talked much about this afternoon is your points leader, Ben Kelly. Ben Kelly's got to do something to stop the bleeding.
He's right there in a good position right now, but the top 2, again, in Lane Michael and Stu Baylor have started to pull away a little bit, but you know, he's in a good position there. He's right in that group he was right with Josh Strang, Thad Duvall.
Oh yeah.
They were so there's a lot of speed in that group right there. I definitely think they have the chops, they have the resume to be able to run down those two up front for sure. But whether or not, you know, the two up front are going to let up enough to allow that to happen, you know, that's going to be the big question. I don't think lappers are going to be a major factor on this track. You know, I don't know how many riders we have out there this afternoon. I know this morning I think there was 764, give or take. So there was quite a few lappers out there where I don't think we're going to have nearly as many lappers. But you know, we were just talking a little bit about Ben Kelly here, and it sounds like our producers have actually an interview with Ben from earlier today and get his thoughts on some things and how the season's been going so far.
Yeah, I got the points lead there, I think, after the third round, and yeah, I guess they've been tight all along, but Stu had a bad first 2 rounds, so he was far back, but those 3 wins he linked together are chipping away at my points lead, but it's all good. I still have it, and now here we are. The rest of the season is going to be up north, where I feel like I feel more comfortable and I have more fun up here, so I'm excited for it, and I welcome the challenge. It's all good. I feel like I ride better under pressure, so yeah, ready for today. Ironman, I guess Hoosier first round, but at the Ironman location, and I love this track, always have fun here, so excited to get out there and yeah, just forget about everything and ride fast like I know how, and give it my all, and hopefully at the end of the day that'll be a win. Pretty much, I guess, you know, it's hard. You think about it all the time. It's always in the back of your mind, especially this being my first year, I guess, leading the Xc1 championship. So yeah, it's a lot of pressure, but like I said, out there, when you're racing, you kind of forget about it. You know, you got so much else you're focusing on, just the track and racing against everyone. So yeah, during the race, I really don't play it safe or anything. You know, I just do the best I can and always ride the same. So as long as I do that, usually it works out good in the end.
Ben Kelly right there. I don't know what sounds better, the voice, the demeanor, or the mullet. It all looks good.
We actually had him convinced, or he convinced himself, he was going to cut the mullet. When we were down at Caleb Russell's place a few weeks ago, had the appointment. Caleb Russell's sister-in-law, Chandler's sister, is a sister-in-law, is a hairdresser, and we all had appointments. And then we got busy. We ended up going to Chad Reed's place there, I-40MX, to do some riding. So as a result, we were not able to make our haircut appointments. We had to call and cancel, and the majestic mullet survived.
It survived.
So I hope that thing goes. I hate the mullets. I'm old, man.
I get it. I'm not crazy about it either. I cut mine last year for the mullets for Mammies we had here at Ironman, and literally when I made that appointment, I made my next appointment to get it cut off because I couldn't stand it.
I think mullets with a purpose are acceptable.
Well, sure.
Anytime you're fundraising. And speaking of a purpose, riding with a purpose right now is not
the 2-1-3.
I saw the blue fenders coming. This is it. This is our leaders. They're battling. We got excited, but hey, that you know, adrenaline you just felt there. Keep that feeling.
It's there.
And this is not one
now
of our
we're
leaders.
gun shy.
Yeah, now we're hesitant to say it. All right, so let's talk about this.
Yes, there you go. You got
Mikey. Just got an interview. Now, this is our leaders, and it is once again Stu Baylor leading the way on that 514 machine, followed very, very closely by the 523 Ampro Yamaha Lane Michael.
Got him a shadow.
So if you're Randy Hawkins right now, you're a happy man.
You're happy.
If you're Donnie Luce from Yamaha, you're a happy man. Your two boys are 1-2 and starting to open up a little bit more of a gap. Each camera shot we see over this guy right here, the number 3 on the Magna 1 Motorsports Husqvarna, Jordan Ashburn.
Ashburn moving. Ashburn needs this podium finish here today. And Johnny, as our leaders coming through right here, we'll talk more about Ben Kelly. You brought up a really good point about him maybe looking for a little redemption out here.
Yeah, a little bit of redemption maybe on Ben Kelly's mind. He's right there behind Josh Strang. Did just come by our camera shot. It was next. It was Ricky Russell, Thad Duvall, Josh Strang, Ben Kelly. So all those guys are still very close to the lead, but they've got some ground, some wood to chop to make up. But we were talking a little bit about that. I feel like maybe Ben Kelly might think this place owes him something, or would like to think so anyway, because remember in 2018, he was battling for that first Xc2 title. Trevor Bollinger coming by there was battling for that first Xc2 title, and he pretty much just had to, get the job done.
Yep.
And he had a big lead, big lead, and the push that he was putting in to beat Josh Toth to make sure that he won that championship that year actually propelled him up to the overall lead, and a pretty comfortable lead at that on corrected time. He pretty much could have just cruised it to the finish. And the next thing you know, Ben Kelly's in the pits changing a front wheel.
Yep.
I called the ghost in the machine because nothing was ever found to be wrong with that front wheel or brake system. They think, or I think, I'm not going to put words in the KTM people, the mechanics, or anyone else, that Ben was just so amped up about that championship, he was thinking he was hearing something in the front wheel, and they said, rather be safe, you know, better safe than sorry. Corey Buttrick on screen there on that factory beta. So he pretty well, which could have been the only rider ever to win an overall from XC2 here in 2018. Would have been the only time it ever happened, and it was all but assured. He was on his way. He just had to finish it out. Came in, wheel change. It was just enough time. Stu Baylor was able to pull out the overall win. Now the roles are reversed.
Yep.
And Stu Baylor, you know, kind of leading the charge here, and Ben Kelly's got to get back up there. So maybe somewhere in the back of his mind, he's thinking, hey, Stu, I gifted you one, so I'm going to take one back.
I got to take one back.
Ironman track, you owe me one.
You owe me one. That's right. That's right. It's just to add to the ghost, I mean, we do race here in October around Halloween.
Yeah.
So just saying. Yeah, that's it's interesting. Stu Baylor actually talked about this track owed him something because he talked about Ironman Hill, which we don't have. If the folks at home you're wondering, man, where's Ironman Hill? Where's Ironman Hill? Ooh, Lane getting a little squirrel, or Lane getting a little squirrely right there.
That was almost a shoulder check to a tree at a high rate of speed. So we'll see how much that gap has opened up. Again, not a huge gap, but just enough that Ashburn can still see those guys in the switchback, but he knows he's losing time just ever so slightly. And I have a feeling that may mean that he's losing a little bit of time to these guys right here. And here he comes. There is the 212 of Ricky Russell. There is the 989 of Thad Duvall, the 114 of Josh Strang, and the 530 of Ben Kelly, all flying in formation.
Rolling right now. Strang, tough guy to pass. Kelly's behind him trying to make a move and get up there and battle with those front runners. But back to Stu Baylor, I mean, he had talked about the struggles he had at Ironman Hill at the end of last year's Ironman, and he was looking for redemption here this weekend. Then he found out, oh, we're not running the hill. So for the folks at home, if you're wondering, where's Ironman Hill been? They wanted to keep that, which I understand. I get it. I want to see them run Ironman Hill, don't get me wrong, but I get we want to keep that kind of the iconic part of Ironman. So completely understandable.
Well, we could have called it the Hoosier Hill.
Yeah, I'd be fine with that. Just name it something different. Run it.
No, I get it. Yeah, it was the track was great. You know, having been out there and raced it and pedaled about 100 miles on it this morning during the morning bike race.
You looked like it too, dude. You were covered in mud.
Covered in mud, tired. I'm ready to just sit here and enjoy some racing for a couple hours because I am real tired, real wore out. It's been a long weekend, great weekend for sure. A lot of great things happening here at this inaugural Hoosier, including the racing action. I mean, the racing action has been exciting. We've had upsets.
Yeah.
We've had battles. You name it, we've had it. I mean, just running down off the top of my head, watching some of the micro battles yesterday morning, absolutely phenomenal.
Yep.
The youth ATV battles through and through all the classes, it was just wheel-to-wheel action, surprise winners, repeat winners. Going into, obviously, the morning race yesterday, same thing going into the afternoon. Obviously, Bryson Neal getting that win.
Yep.
Walker Fowler having a rough interview after the race. I mean, I've never heard anybody, he was not pleased with his setup and his machine. Josh Toth on screen there. But, this Hoosier has created a lot of storyline for the weekend. Yep. And then, continued into today. I know there was great racing in the youth this morning, obviously in the 10 a.m. race. And right now we've got a two-way battle for the lead with Jordan Ashburn lurking back there just a few seconds back, and then a snarling pack behind them of Ricky Russell, Thad Duvall, Josh Strang, Ben Kelly. Now here is your XC2 battle. Speaking of XC2 battles, that one yesterday was wild, and this one's shaping up to be almost exactly the same. This one's 4 riders at the moment. Now the number 1 of Craig DeLong, that rider you see in between there is actually a XC1 rider, Benjamin Herrera, who is back with those XC2 guys, but still 4 riders battling and real close there for that XC1. It is still leading the way. It is Liam Draper on the 198 Teely Energy Racing KTM, followed very closely by the 282 Ampro Yamaha Mike Bukowski, then the 969 on that Coastal Racing Gas. 4 wins in a row coming into this weekend in that XC2 Pro Lights class, and looking to make it 5, but sitting back there in that 3rd place spot right now. Another thing, last time Johnny Gerard raced here, a big crash. that
that's right.
You know, knocked him literally for a loop. Didn't even know how he got back to the truck or anything. So he was definitely struggling. So hopefully he doesn't let that come into his mind today. But you know, maybe he's looking for a little bit of redemption today. Simon Johnson, shout out to him. He looked like he was maybe 6th place in that XC2 Pro Lights. That's Rui Barbosa on the Phoenix Racing Husqvarna, or Phoenix Racing Honda, came by there. Looked like he was maybe in that 5th place spot. But Simon Johnson, a rider coming back from injury on the Trail Jesters KTM team, has been solidly kind of just getting a little bit stronger each race. I believe this is his 3rd race back on the bike after injuring his wrist preseason and missing out on the first 3 rounds.
Man, that's rough. That's rough. Liam Draper doing really well out of that XC2 class. I wanted to talk about him for a second. He kind of got celebrity status this week, not on purpose. It just sort of worked out. I did the Tuesday Toolbox with him and asked him about how the season was going. He's, you know, I'm kind of indifferent about it. I want to be doing better, but he's like, the talent is deep this year. I mean, Gerard, Wachowski, and DeLong, and himself. I mean, they're all, any of them to me are capable of winning it. He's like, I just haven't been able to completely put it all together. So maybe that can come to fruition for Liam Draper here today as we're waiting on leaders. Johnny, talk about this section right here. This one is different. We're not used to really seeing this.
Yeah, so this is actually one of our creek crossings out near the big bridge. Actually, just to the left of the shot is Ironman Hill. So there is still Stu Baylor leading the way, and Lane Michael on that 5.23 right behind him. So the 5.14 and 5.23 just absolutely dropping the hammer, trying to do all that they can do to get away from Jordan Ashburn at the moment, and it seems to be working ever so slightly. But this is out as we watch here. They're coming up along the edge of this creek, river, whatever you want to call it, and as they turn left here, that is actually the bridge, and just to the right there, if you look off in the distance, that is Ironman Hill. That right there that you're seeing, that stuff is incredibly slick. Bottlenecks there this morning, riders just not keeping their speed up and flopping over. So we were down there picking up bikes and pushing people and all kinds of stuff to make sure that that area of the track stayed clear. But yeah, it's this is such a fun, flowy track. And if you look, even in looking at our track map, the way there's kind of an inner loop and an outer loop for spectators, I mean, there's no better place to watch a race than Ironman Raceway, whether it be for the Ironman or for the Hoosier. Like, there's just the way the track comes together and clover leaves inside itself. You can see 3, 4, 5 times a lap. You can see the riders battling.
Now getting into finally getting into a little bit of lap traffic. As we mentioned earlier, don't think that's going to be a major factor today, but both of our 1st and 2nd place riders, Stu and Lane Michael, able to get around them fairly easily, no problem. Talked about 3rd place rider, these guys trying to check out from 3rd place. That's Jordan Ashburn. When they checked in with 2 laps completed, Ashburn was back by about 9 seconds as our trend got caught in the wind again. So now looking at that, Johnny, man, I think they've extended that gap.
Yeah, it does appear that it is extended a little bit. How much exactly, we don't know. But Lane, I got to tell you what, I'm impressed with Lane right now.
He's hanging.
He's been able to kind of match the intensity, match the pace of Stu Baylor here early. You know, Stu, I think probably, yeah, it's definitely more than 9 seconds now. There is Ashburn. You actually saw his helmet kind of come into view there just as we were going away. So I'd say probably maybe 15-ish if I had to guess. But Lane, obviously, you know, has great sprint speed, and Stu probably doesn't feel as threatened by Lane having him back there. Not that he doesn't believe Lane is capable of beating him, but, you know, Lane isn't a threat to him really in the points right now. So he's probably going to be content to push a pace as long as they're pulling away from everyone else. He's not going to feel the need or any sense of urgency to really shake Lane. Being their teammates, you know, obviously they know there's that comfort of neither one of them's going to do anything to kind of endanger both of their races. So a lot of things going on there, but, you know, right now their pace just seems to be a bit more than the guys behind them can match.
Yeah. Johnny, let me ask you something. So this has been a common scenario we've seen throughout this 2021 season of 1st place and 2nd place, they're up front. As the race wears on, we start getting into a little bit of lap traffic. Is there an advantage of being that 2nd place rider? Or, I mean, obviously you want to win, but I feel like the guy out front has the task of letting that lapped rider know, hey, I'm here. You're hitting the rev limiter. You're letting them know. Does that kind of play an advantage if you're sitting there in the number 2 spot of, hey, I might be able to make a pass when whoever's in 1st is struggling with lap traffic?
Absolutely. Not just because of lappers. I mean, it is, in my opinion, it's an advantage to be in 2nd all the time. Unless it's super dusty, obviously, and then it makes your visibility at you know, a premium, and you want to be up front where you have clean air. But in this situation, Obviously, in GNCC racing, we don't have to worry about a draft from an aerodynamic standpoint.
Sure.
But you have that virtual draft. You can kind of basically key off his braking points, key off his corners in terms of his lines, even the lines he picks in bad, mud hole sections. He picks a good line and gets through it super smooth, and you're 2-3 seconds behind him. You just take that same line. He picks a line and loses 5-6 seconds, and you're 5-6 seconds behind him. You come out right on his rear wheel if you take the other line.
Makes sense.
It's almost like having a test dummy in front of you, a crash test dummy.
There you go.
As long as you're comfortable at that speed, it's so much less energy, so much less effort to be in second there. The downsides, like I said, if it's dusty or if it's very muddy and there's that spray coming off the rear wheel, it can be a little bit taxing on goggles and tear-offs or roll-offs or whatever you're running that day. But here we go, through VP Fuels Pro Row, and leading the way, Stu Baylor, looking like he's motioning possibly, unless he was pulling a tear-off, but I think he might have been motioning up. Maybe he was motioning that he wanted something to drink.
I need something to drink.
And looks like Lane Michael took a bottle as well, so 2 bottles, 2 pit boards, 2 blue shirts, and 2 YZ450s out front.
I couldn't quite make out the pit board, but I gotta guess it probably said something like, be nice to each other. You guys, we're 1 and 2 right now, stay there.
Yeah, it probably said, Lane's pit board probably said chase him, Stu's probably said get away from him.
Yes, exactly. That makes total sense. Also in those big open field sections, you can see those guys, when they're by themselves, they're real tight, hitting their lines. When they got somebody on them like this, you notice in the open field sections, they start getting a little bit more to the outside, get up into that berm. I want to kick up as much dust as possible and make it a little more difficult for the guy behind me.
Ooh, did you see that? It's a minus 38. That was more than I had anticipated. Yeah. That gap is starting to get into, we were talking about it last race, that 45-second gap was just too much for anybody to get back up there and challenge, Stu Baylor. Last race, it's tough, man. When you get to that point, it's kind of like you can kind of take the chances when you need to and not everywhere. Now, I think it just allows you to ride a smoother race, and Stu's been good. This will be the 4th race in a row where he's been able to, well, actually, I guess the one race he did have to come from behind, but
that's true.
2 of his 3 wins, he's kind of been there right from the drop of the flag, up front, pushing the pace, riding his own race, not worried about what anybody else is doing, just going fast and pulling away.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely a scenario that, he talked about after those first couple rounds. Well, I got to go get wins. Well, he's gotten wins now. He's gotten 3 in a row. And we talked to him Friday night, and he said, points cap's now only 10. I said, is the focus still, I have to win? He's like, well, I want to win, obviously. However, now I know, okay, I've done what I need to do to put my name back in the hat for the championship. Now I need to make sure I'm finishing ahead of the guys I need to finish ahead of. I got to finish ahead of Grant. I got to finish ahead of Ben Kelly. So there's a little bit of pressure off his shoulders of, hey, if you don't win, you don't win. That's fine. As long as you're beating those guys, you're putting yourself in the position you need to be in come the end of the season for the championship.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's a completely different.
Look at different lines. Here we go.
Speaking of a battle, this is a battle for lead. I'm surprised to see that actually. Lane Michael looking like he wants a piece of that.
He does.
Looking like he's not content to just settle in behind Stu and ride in that second place spot. He wants that point position. He wants to be out front.
Hard on the charge right now, so we'll see. This thing might shape up here in the next couple of hours between those two. And they've got, they have a little bit of room to play with, to be honest. There's Jordan, is that Jordan Ashburn?
Yep,
popping on? Yeah, right, Jordan Ashburn on screen. So they do have a little bit of time. If it's there for Lane Michael, he's got the opportunity to make an aggressive move.
Yeah, I don't know that we'll see anything that aggressive, or it's surely possible, but it's pretty early in the race. We mentioned, they are teammates, maybe getting those pit boards to go ahead and play nice. Ricky Russell on the charge, but that is a gap now, even from him to Ashburn. Strang looking like he's really charged, and we're going to get to look at him for an extra couple seconds here. We had a little bit of a pause in our screen. Duval there in the 5th place spot, I believe. Sorry, 6th place spot. And I don't know, did we lose Ben Kelly? He may have gone by when the screen was paused there, so it is entirely possible that Kelly may have gotten around Duval, or was there next to him in that shot. This is our sweep rider, Jared Bolton. Shout out to him out there putting laps in. There is Trevor Bollinger. So up there in that, I believe, 8th place spot in that Xc1 Pro class.
Looking at the FMF PowerPoint right now, about mile marker number 8. We're about 50 minutes, reaching almost a third of the way through this thing. And you guys see on the screen there, showing some love to some of our amateur riders, your senior B40 plus class. And we're rolling. There he is. There he is again, the 213 that we saw earlier.
Great form.
He does. Yeah, he looks good. He's getting a lot of camera love today, speaking of amateur riders.
We should see a snarling pack of 250Fs coming down this hill just about any time now. Oh, there's Grant Baylor. Forgot. We got to have Grant and then maybe Corey Buttrick, and then we'll see that snarling pack of XC2 riders, which we last knew was being led by Liam Draper, the 198, Teely Energy Racing KTM. Also in that battle, the 282 of Mike Witkowski on that Ampro Yamaha, and Johnny Gerard on the Coastal Racing Gas. It looked as though Craig DeLong had worked his way almost to the rear wheel of Gerard. So you talked about it a little bit earlier, Craig DeLong saying, hey man, we need to go back to the drawing board. We need to start from square one because Johnny's got us beat. I heard his interview with you last race, and he said something to the effect of, yeah, so I was leading, everything was great, we were up there, and the next thing I knew, Johnny just came along and showed us how to ride.
Yeah, that was exactly what he said, and honestly, I don't know what else to say. Gerard's just been, I mean, he hits his marks, he's riding stellar right now, I mean, almost to perfection, and it's like, what else can you throw at the guy? I mean, at some point, something's got to give. You just got to hope, or you got to change something in your own program. So clearly DeLong mature enough to make that decision of, hey, I got to go back to the drawing board. What I'm doing is not getting the job done.
Yeah, you know, and that's important. You know, you gotta, sometimes you have to evaluate your own weaknesses. I'll tell you what, that gap back to XC2 has opened up quite a bit. Because last we saw, there is Josh Toth. It seemed like those guys were much closer to Grant Baylor. So I think the pace in XC1 today is just there is your leader in XC2. 282 Mike Witkowski has now taken over the lead. He has wrestled it back away from that man right there, the 198 of Liam Draper. There's Benjamin Herrera. Again, that is an XC1 rider. And there is Craig DeLong. So shout out to Benjamin Herrera. It looks like he's kind of caught a draft and latched onto those. Oh, and there's Johnny Gerard. So there we go.
Oh, boy.
Craig DeLong has now made the pass on Johnny Gerard and is up into third place in that XC2 Pro Lights class.
Now he's got to start getting after it. And Gerard might be in that situation too, where again, he wants to win, but he knows he's got a good points lead right now. He knows he's coming off those 4 wins. It's, hey, I don't have to win this. I need to control the pace. I'm not going to burn myself out here in the first hour. I'm going to see if it's there in the third hour.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and that's not necessarily a bad card to play, especially when things are as tight as they are right now. I mean, all of those guys separated by seconds. You know, in the field sections, they can absolutely see each other. You know, they know what their progress is. It's tough sometimes when you're racing a pit board. You can't see the guy. You know, it's hard for you to envision how fast they're going. But when you can physically see them section to section, you know if you put in a good push and you make up, even if it's only 3 or 4 seconds, you know, like, okay, that's good. Like, we've got the pace. Let's just settle it in, ride comfortable. There's Josh Strang. Oh, Strang has gotten around Russell. There is Ben Kelly. So we did miss him. Ben Kelly fans at home, no cause for alarm. And there is Josh Strang. So that is your 4th place rider. 5th place Ricky Russell. 6th place Ben Kelly. 7th place Thad Duvall. So your top 7 in XC2 or XC1 have come by here at the 9-mile marker in the Monster Mile.
Well, our XC1 Pro riders out there putting on a show for you guys. Another guy that is no stranger to entertaining the fans out there, Mr. Travis Pastrana, raced with us this morning in the AM race. And prior to the race and after, we had a chance to catch up with Travis Pastrana.
Yes, we're out here at the Hoosier GNCC. Raced Atlanta flat track last night. Drove all night. Mario and the Red Bull rig drove us all night up here. Started out as a friendly wager, me and my buddy Travis Pastrana, and we're going to continue the bet here. We're going to race the morning race and go have some fun, play around, and try to see who wins. It's going to be fun.
You know what? I'm too old to be afraid of being made fun of or making a fool of myself. So I figure this is going to be one heck of a good time. It really all started because we're doing a pit bike race for Nitro Circus. And I was like, hey, we need to have a girls team. And the 2 top female girls for Fight Club, Corey out-qualified Brian Villapoto. I was like, we need Becca and Corey in our pit bike race. And they said, well, we got a GNCC race, but hey, you couldn't beat us anyway. You should come up and race it because we can't get to the start of the pit bike race on Monday. I was like, all right, so I got to work out a bus or something to get us there, and we're gonna do it. I said, but I don't want you to go alone. I'm like, Brian, can you come up there with me? He goes, no, man, I got a race in Atlanta. And I was like, all right. He's like, if I go up there, you have to come down to Atlanta. So really, we're starting a 10-day no sleep fest with 2 back-to-back all-night drives, and I'm racing 2 events way over my head, or my age bracket, if you will. I haven't been on a bike a lot, but hey, I'm here to have a good time, and this is going to be an awesome week.
I'm up 1. I beat him at the flat track last night, so I'm coming in with the lead. I plan on just extending that lead, beat him in this one, then we're heading from here. We go to Kevin Wyndham's for a pit bike race. So as soon as the race is over, we hop in and take off.
This feels like home. Look around. I mean, we just pulled up and so many kids, everyone's riding, everyone's having fun. It's all about family. And at the end of the day, with COVID, it's been really hard because all of our the pro events, we haven't been able to interact with the crowd. We haven't been able to hang out. We haven't been able to high five. Haven't been able to really do anything. So this is cool to see the moto community sticking together. Everyone coming out here for this race. I mean, there's so many riders out there. It's going to be absolutely crazy, chaotic, and that's what I love about racing, man. It's going to be so much fun.
So that was Ryan Sipes and Mr. Travis Pastrana. Corey Steed and Becca Sheets right there. Becca Sheets, by the way, took the overall this morning. Sipes took second on adjusted time. And I don't know where Travis finished. I mean, we were done with the podium and we were back. Next thing I know, we go over to the rig, the Red Bull rig. By the way, shout out to Mario. Limping ain't easy. Find Mario. If you look at hashtag Limping ain't easy, you'll find Mario, the driver for that Red Bull rig. But Travis was kind of limping around, but exciting to have him out here. They had some fun out there. That's the most important thing. And what a cool opportunity for Becca Sheets and Corey Steed to go out there and race some pitters with them here this next week.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be a very busy, fun-filled week for all those guys and girls. Cool opportunity for them for sure. And I know, Becca was excited to get to race against Travis. There was a lot of social media and texting back and forth with the kind of smack talk. But she kept telling herself and those around her like, hey, I'm focused. I got a job to do here. I'm trying to win a championship, trying to win races in this WXC class. I'm not going to get caught up in this battle. But I can tell you by the way she was riding today. Once we gave her some splits. Travis, obviously a phenomenal talent. This is not something that he was prepared for or anything like that, but he got a great start, was up, up front or near the front in that Sportsman A class for a little while. Ryan Sipes led most of the race in that Sportsman A class, and I think once Becca saw the splits that she was actually pulling away from Ryan a little bit, you kind of saw the little additional motivation.
Oh, for sure.
She was pushing harder and harder and harder, and all the girls, that it'd be easy to, as Travis said, get made fun of for something like that. Yeah. But if anything, I think it just shows just how far GNCC racing has progressed, and also, that WXC class, those girls are seriously on the gas.
Ridiculous. Wanted to give a shout out to my buddy Hunter Maddox. He ran that Sportsman B class, and after that short abbreviated lap 1, he came out. He was leading the overall. Took a picture of it, texted to him. I said, dude, you're beating Pastrana, you're beating Sipes, you're beating Becca Sheets, all the WXC. I know it's an abbreviated lap, but hang on to this. Hold it near and dear to your heart as long as you can.
I actually saw that, and I was going to text Hunter myself or message him on social media and say, either you rode the hardest 7 minutes of your life, or you had a hotline somewhere, because Ryan Sipes was like 8:45. Becca was like an 8:49. They were all in these 8:40s, and Hunter Maddox with a 7:07. So I'm like, I think he took off on the wrong line.
He might have. I'll put it to you this way. To preface this, so we don't upset the people at home, sportsmen are non-points class.
I'm guessing.
It's a fun class.
I knew this is what happened.
And Hunter Hart is good friends and knows the terrain out here with the folks who own the place, the Shaver Family Farm. So, I don't know.
I actually think what happened is I think he took off with Sportsman A, but was signed up accidentally in Sportsman B.
Yeah.
So Hunter Maddox, it looked as though he had done a minute and 40-second faster lap time than anyone else on the track. As soon as I looked at it and I saw Sportsman B, I said, no, Hunter's an A rider all day long. He's a local pro rider. Yeah. So it looked as though he was winning the overall, but actually it was because he had taken off in the wrong line.
I posted him up on the bottleneck. I said, we see you, buddy. We see you.
Yeah. Very cool.
I know what you're doing. But
a lot of fast riders out there. And fast riders on screen right now. Josh Strang, the 114 Babbitt's Online Monster Energy Kawasaki. He has moved up, made some passes. Ben Kelly going with him. And they have now gotten around Ricky Russell, and Thad Duvall now starting to put the pressure on Ricky Russell. So that is 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th. Still just wheel to wheel to wheel to wheel.
Got us a barn burner here at the Hoosier GNCC. We're 3 laps into it now. Folks at home, lap times are running about a 24:19 for Stu Baylor. Lane Michael was a 24:18, so just a little bit faster by about a second. Jordan Ashburn still in that number 3 spot, running a 24:18 as well. And then Josh Strang up into the number 4 spot. We know Strang, man, he will chip away at this thing. sitting 24 seconds back from Ashburn in the number 4 spot. But if we know anything about Josh Strang, it's don't count the man out. Ricky Russell still in that number 5 spot, looking to go back-to-back podium performance here. Got his work cut out for him as we just get past the 1 hour mark here at the Hoosier GNCC. So looking on screen there, mile marker number 1, 3 laps into it, and you got to feel good if you're Stu Baylor. He talked Friday about, hey, I don't need to win. I want to win, but I'm finally in a position where I just got to finish in front of Ben Kelly. I got to finish in front of my brother Grant. He had some very kind words about, speaking of Grant on screen right there. He said he sees a lot of himself in Grant, and I couldn't agree more. And the similarities are kind of uncanny. Grant, he does have technically two XC1 wins, although if you ask him, he'll say, I've only got one, because he did inherit the one, I believe was a Penton a few years back. But anyways, picked up his first career win at Big Buck. That's where Stu Baylor got his. That's their home. All these little similarities. Grant's about the same age that Stu was when he did that. So keep your eyes on Grant Baylor moving forward. I think he's going to be a force to reckon with. And speaking of Stu Baylor on screen right there, working around some lap traffic. And I asked Stu, I said, how cool, what would it mean, Lane Michael right there, what would it mean to the Baylor family if you guys could go 1 and 2 in the XC1? He's like, I don't think anything like that's ever been done really in any sport.
I would tend to agree. Well, last night.
Well, yeah, now you say that, it's coming. Yeah.
I mean, and it just goes to show, you know, when you have a winning combination and you know, you kind of get the formula figured out, and you've got a lot of talent and a lot of drive, it can work for both brothers. We saw last night with the Lawrence brothers, and we see it week in and week out with the Baylors.
We certainly do. Lawrence brothers, those guys are lightning fast, ridiculous. Well, Stu Baylor's out in front. Lane Michael trying to track him down. He wants a win. He needs a win. Jordan Ashburn sitting in the number 3 spot. Can Stu Baylor make it 4 in a row? We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we'll have more racing action here on GNCC Live on Racer TV.
I'm Stuart Baylor. You're watching GNCC Live on RacerTV.com.
Last season was my best season ever by far. I won a lot of races. I won a championship, and it was also my first year using ARMA. And one of the things I noticed was just my ability to string good days together. You know, like especially in the summertime in Florida, where you're riding every day and the heat index is 108 degrees and you're doing 230s and going to the gym and bicycle and all that stuff. I think in the past I've been super inconsistent day to day. Yeah, I may have a good race here or a good day during the week there, but overall I think where I improved the most was my consistency in my recovery.
Oh, a talent I wish I had. Well, last year I wished I was a better deer hunter. I spent a lot of time in there, and I got beat by my lucky mechanic.
My time management skills.
A talent I wish I had. I wish I could play an instrument, but there's like zero talent there whatsoever.
I don't know if people really misunderstand me too much because I'm so outspoken. I think there's a lot of people that are misunderstood, but I think everybody sees me for exactly what I am, and that's how I hopefully live my life, and I hope that other people see that as well, because there's no BS with me.
People misunderstand about me is I think my character. So I come off as an a-hole, probably. I'm sure. I know I do, and I can be one. But for the most part, I'm outgoing, and I like to have a lot of fun.
I'd say some people think I'm a little quiet, which I can be, I guess, until I get to know people. But I guess that's probably one thing that I do talk a lot when I get to know people. So I guess maybe that'll come out eventually, and I'll do a better job at talking to people.
The last few races, you're just drained and tired and kind of just ready to be home at that point.
Hardest thing to do at a GNCC, or hardest thing about the GNCC, is just the endurance of the event.
The hardest thing about GNCC as a sport to me would be just, I think, the duration of the event, and then it could be 85, 90 degrees, and we got to race 3 hours in it, and just takes a huge toll on the body and mind together. So there's nothing like it in the world.
I love those. Those are fun. Those are fun. Nice little fun. Hey, by the way, Dan Reinhardt's birthday is today, and I just found this out. So happy birthday, Dan Reinhardt of Racer TV. Oh, you don't want to hear me sing. Oh, my goodness. It's terrible.
Wait, Mikey, we got this door right here. You guys can't see on camera, but if they can just go to our camera,
just
that man
there,
right there.
Right there.
If we can go to our camera.
Does our GoPro work? Yeah, right in there.
Right back there. There's Dan.
Ignore
can't
this.
see him, but
ignore that ladder.
He's back there. Happy birthday, Dan.
Happy birthday, Dan.
Happy birthday, buddy. All right, back to the racing action.
Sorry, we threw him
this
a
guy
curveball.
puts countless hours into this show, and when you guys are enjoying this, he is the man that you have to thank. And when things go wrong, he is the only one that gets yelled at.
Yeah.
So it's a thankless job, but we appreciate you, Dan. And happy birthday, buddy. 29, right? 29 again.
I think that's right. Yeah,
sounds good.
Again.
And leaders on screen, that is Stu Baylor leading. Lane Michael really just right there off his rear wheel. For a moment, in the last camera shot we saw him back there, it started to look like Stu was maybe pulling away just a tiny little bit, but Lane is right back there again now.
Reeled him in. So good for Lane. I mean, we're at that 1 hour mark, and Lane is staying right with. I mean, he's at times reeled him in right on that rear wheel as he'll pop into the field for a split second and right back into the woods, into the trees, catching up with a little bit of lap traffic right there, but a couple riders. So we'll see what this does for him. Stu gets around him, no problem.
Oh, look at that.
That was tight.
Lane had an evasive maneuver there.
That was tight. That's what we were talking about. So they're getting into a little bit of lap traffic right here, but spread out fairly well. Nothing like what we saw this morning. And these guys through the trees here at the Shaver family farm. And boy, what speed they've got. They're carrying through there. Right there on the edge of the field, getting around some more lap traffic now. So we're in that 1 hour mark. We're 3 laps into it. And seeing lap traffic getting in the way of these guys. I'm watching it. Stu Baylor makes quick work of him, and Lane Michael. And I don't know if it's a lap traffic or what, but Stu seems to be putting on a bit of a gap right now on Lane Michael, trying to lose him in the woods here.
You hear this all the time. These guys say they put in these little test sprints, where they kind of sprint just for a mile or two and see if they can shake the rider behind them. If it works, they keep sprinting. If it doesn't, they go back to that conserve energy mode and kind of hit their lines, set a pace, and a lot of times you'll see it just takes a lapper in between, or one mistake, a fall, a stall, a fuel stop. Any one of those things can be the catalyst for one of these test sprints, where they try to get away. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Looks like Lane's been able to catch his pace. I don't think, at least for right now, Stu's not going anywhere.
Speaking of pit stops, these guys are going to be getting fuel here soon, and the Ampro Yamaha pits is going to have their hands full. Fortunately, both riders riding very, very well right now. You got to think they're going to take some fuel, they're going to take some goggles, and they'll be off and rolling. But both riders need to be smooth and clean right here to avoid any kind of catastrophic extras needed in the pits.
So was that clean statement directed towards me because I'm not
filthy.
I'm filthy?
They teased me on Friday, Rodney. I was putting up, I had some trouble with some speaker trees out out at the start line, so I was dirty, and somebody asked me if I'd fallen. I was like, doggone it, I do put on a little bit of work.
No, actually, I went and took a lap. I strapped a helmet on, jumped on a bike, and jumped in behind Lane. And
showed him some lines.
Showed him some lines. I was actually just ahead of the drone out
Makes
there.
sense.
You couldn't see me out there. No, actually, while we watch this all unfold out here, was out checking in with Travis Pastrana, Ryan Sipes, Corey Steed, and Becca. They just loaded up and shut the door on the transporter, and they are off and rolling now. And of course, with that, talk with Ryan Sipes. He had a blast. He had a pretty gnarly get off, I guess. Was getting ready to go up a hill climb, he thought, and there was like a ditch that was below it, and everybody's like, stop, stop, stop. He tried to stop, but it was too late. He went over the bars. He said, this is going to have some fun. And then Travis, we're going to have to charge him for a softball or something, man.
Yeah.
Dude, that knee, wow. He's got a big knot on it, but you know Travis, he laughed it all off and had a great time. But they're off to Kevin Wyndham's place. They're getting ready to start a week-long, what I call extravaganza, pit bike fury, man. I mean, it's going to be...
They're about to have some fun.
Yeah, they are. But I even got to talk with my old friend. Didn't realize he was here, but glad to see America's favorite redneck here with us this weekend. And Hubert, yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, he's like, man, I called you last night, and I was like, oh, you probably didn't call me.
I got no missed calls.
Well, I changed my number since the last time because no, I'm just kidding. But I do have a different number. We're in the pit stops now.
Ben Kelly in with some fresh Scott goggles, some fresh VP Fuels there in VP Fuels Pro Row. There is Stu Baylor and Lane Michael already out of VP Fuels Pro Row and back into the fields making passes on some lapped riders and pushing the pace, trying to continue to open that gap up over the riders behind him.
Well, nice day for a ride. It's a little stuffy out there, but at the same time, there is a breeze blowing once again as Thad Duvall is in the pits there, getting a fresh pair of goggles, some gas, and a fresh drink as well as he is off and rolling.
That's what I was getting ready to say. Adam Gordon just came over the radio, and I thought, I don't remember seeing the Ampro Yamaha riders taking a pit stop, and that's the reports we're getting right now is they did not take fuel that time around. So we're going to see this this gap between second and third really, really open up. But with that said, those two riders will have to pit that next lap.
Well, you wonder, will it pay dividends? Will it not pay dividends? I mean, the philosophy on that, I'm sure, is, folks are looking at it. It's lap number 3. Normally races are, 6 laps long. But again, that short first lap, that kind of throws a monkey in, a wrench into the whole thing, and it kind of discombobulates your perception of what's going on as far as laps. And I believe Johnny can attest to this. Once those lap numbers start racking up, even though that was a 12-minute lap or a 7-minute lap or whatever it was, that's a lap in your head for whatever reason, and you go by, you see lap 2 click off, you see lap 3, and then all of a sudden that starts to weigh probably as much on you as anything psychologically, I guess, without even realizing it.
Yeah, I definitely was actually making the comment this morning after this morning race, talking with some of the riders. It seemed like the course, there's a lot of factors that came into that with the short lap, but also the fact that we're not running a lot of the fields, presumably because of planting season. I'm told that a lot of the fields that we normally would run are either already planted or already prepped to be planted.
Right.
And basically our big start field, which is our only field that we have as far as any type of grass track or anything like that, they kind of held off on preparing it and planning it just for this race. So a lot less fields, which means less passing opportunities and also ultimately a shorter track. So it kind of seemed exactly what you said. It seemed like we were kind of making, even though it was only a 5, and I'm making air quotes again, 5-lap race. It was a 4-lap race with an extra lap kicker. And they're telling us Josh Strang has not come to the pits. Well, now he has, and he's getting off his machine. So, wow.
That's Mikey Wayne's cue. Out of here.
We have seen this all too often in 2021. Josh Strang in the pits for repairs. He does not look happy.
Nope, he's not happy. He's waving the camera off. He's like, he don't want anything to do with that right now. He is not a bit into that. So whatever it is.
Looks like they are replacing no, I thought it was a shifter, but it appears to be a chain guide that they are working on there. They're in the process of removing it, so guessing maybe a broken chain guide that led to a derailed chain. Just making guesses here. Mikey will get us an official word on exactly what's going on, but you can see the chain is outside of the chain guide that is supposed to be running through that chain guide. And it's supposed to run right through that block that they're removing right now, so they're going to remove that. They're going to put a new chain guide on, try to get it back in place. But how that chain guide got outside, or chain got outside of the chain guide in the first place is a question that needs to be answered.
Man, what a frustrating, and I get it. I understand what's going on here with Josh and his mental state right now, the frustration that he's feeling, especially, you know, after opening up the season the way that he has, and then last race with the issues that he had, a DNF or scoring no points, basically.
Yeah. Rodney, what they're doing there is they're actually inspecting the mounts for the chain guide to make certain, because you don't want to just slap a new chain guide on there. If there's an issue with the mounts themselves, it could lead to another issue, a further, even more costly issue that could end with a DNF. So right now they're taking just a few extra moments to inspect the mounts, making sure that they have what they need and are able to reinstall. And now you can see they're starting to reinstall. That's a polymer plastic, if you will, chain guide that goes inside of a metal brace and mounting system that holds the chain in place so it routes properly onto the sprocket. So they took the time, they removed the broken, damaged one, and now, after inspecting the mounts and determining that there was no damage to the mounts themselves on the swing arm, they're reinstalling a new Cherubies, it looks like that brand is, a new Cherubies chain guide, and they're working on getting those bolts in. Once they do, they'll probably check the chain adjustment just to make sure that there was no excessive stretching or damage to the chain, and then they'll send Josh Strang back out on his way.
Silver lining to the cloud. This fact is that even though he had the issues here, it did not break the chain, and had that happened, or had it bound the chain up in some way, it would have caused even more issues. So as bad as it is, it could have been a lot worse for Josh Strang, but I know what he's feeling right now, especially running fourth place, just off the pace of what was going on up front. You know, he was about 24 seconds back, I believe, of Jordan Ashburn, but we know what Josh Strang's pace is as the race wears on. He is the freight train, so we expected to see him start to chug right up toward the front of the pack and try to mount a challenge for a podium position, and this right here certainly puts him behind the 8 ball. I'm not going to say it's going to take him out of it, but and the way that Josh Strang rides, like Grant Baylor late in the race, I wouldn't be surprised to see him in podium contention by races in, if they can get him back out there quick enough.
Yeah, we'll see exactly what the gap is back. I definitely don't want to take anything away from Josh, but I think for him at this point, this is going to try to be a point salvaging day, you know, and it is a frustration because, as you said, this is unfortunately not the first issue Josh has had this year. He had a run-in with another rider that he was fairly vocal about on social media that ended in a front brake system swap at round number 2, I believe, or sorry, number 3, 2 or 3, I can't recall.
It would have been 3, yeah.
That he ended up having those issues and had to charge from behind. Josh Strang back out on track, out of VP Fuels Pro Row, and looking like he is going to go ahead, get back to work, try to salvage some points. We'll check in with him as that progresses, see just how far outside the top 20 he is. There is Ben Kelly on screen and charging hard, trying to track down that lead group back in 4th or 5th place the last time we saw him. So we'll see. They'll be checking in here. They're at mile marker 9, so just a few more minutes they'll be coming in and checking in with completion of lap number 4.
Theoretically, we should probably be looking at Ricky Russell up to the number 4 spot, with Ben Kelly up to 5th. Thad Duvall would move up to 6th. Trevor Bollinger to 7th, and that would likely move then Grant Baylor up to the number 8 spot there, as far as this Xc1 battle is concerned here at the Hoosier GNCC, approaching the 1 hour and 20-minute mark here. So still rolling with a head full of steam. I mean, this one is just beginning. I know the hour and a half mark is coming up on us. That'd be the halfway point for this race, and as far as time is concerned and the conditions, I mean, Johnny, I mean, looking at what we're looking at, it looks like they're not really demanding conditions. Like you said, the lap traffic's not that bad. This is just a good ride race day, it looks like.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I think a great track, great dirt. You really couldn't ask for anything better. We're down here in the Monster Mile, and we should be seeing these riders check in here in just a few moments. We should see our leaders coming by here at the 9, or actually this is the 9 mile marker. They've actually already come through this part of the racetrack, I believe.
rather dark soils down here. I'm sure a little moisture in the low-lying valleys. What overall the woods like out there this week? Were they pretty good for you guys yesterday?
Yeah, the woods were great. You know, it's kind of funny. I was actually listening to you and Chuck LeMaster yesterday morning during the micro race, or as the micro race was about to start, Grant Baylor on screen. So that gives you an idea of exactly kind of where these guys are slotting into place. And Josh Strang still has not come by. Don't even think we'll probably get a chance to see him because we'll be long gone from this camera shot. So I think we know Grant was back around maybe just outside the top 10 overall, or right around 10th overall.
He was 9th overall.
So he was 9th overall. Again, I think right now we're going to see Josh Strang, as much as I hate to say it, he's going to be in a non-scoring, point-scoring position by the time he checks in at the completion of this lap. Again, very clearly, not saying he won't score points, but he's not currently going to be in the top 20, I don't believe, or if he is, it's going to be barely. So it's going to be just points. It's going to be a points day for him. He's going to be out there racing, trying to kind of just get a handle on things, because that time spent in the pits, and I can tell you that probably cost him some time out on the track as well, because he was probably hearing that chain grinding along that chain guide. So he probably, if he didn't actually have to stop and address it, probably had to really slow his pace to make sure he didn't break the chain. But great forethought for him to come in and get it fixed.
Well, one thing is for certain, if they could have gotten that done within 4 minutes, there's a chance that he's still in the top 20, because first to 20th place right now are separated by exactly that on elapsed time, 4 minutes.
There is Lane Michael checking in. Don't know if we saw Stu Baylor. Lane Michael actually just went by to the right there. There is Stu. So Stu's by, Lane is by. They are wheel to wheel, and there is first and second place. They've checked in now with 4 laps complete. Rodney, when we look, what's the gap?
Well, as the computer updates, 1.4 seconds. Look at this, the lap times, 24:45.5, 24:45.8. 3/10 of a second difference in their lap time.
Yeah, so they're basically wheel to wheel. Here comes, oh, no, I thought that was Jordan Ashburn. There's Jordan Ashburn. Those bright helmets will get you.
Yeah.
Jordan Ashburn coming in now, still in that 3rd place spot on that Magna 1 Lubricants Husqvarna, and still in a podium position, charging hard, and not all that far back. Rodney, what's the gap back to Jordan there in 3rd?
Well, from an 8.7 second lead at the end of lap number 3 to a 37.5 second lead at the end of lap 4.
Did you see who that was that just went by? Ben Kelly up into 4th place, and quite a bit of ground he's made up on Jordan Ashburn, it looks like.
That's right, only 6.8 seconds back. Looking at lap times right now, 24:52 is the lap time that we saw pulled by Ben Kelly, at 25:14 for Jordan Ashburn. So in theory, we should see that him catching, unless Jordan Ashburn picks the pace up. We might see Ben Kelly in that number 3 spot pretty quickly, though right now Stu Baylor and Lane Michael still carrying a pretty good speed up front with that 24:45 lap time.
Thad Duvall checking in now. He has just come through the finish line there, the 989 Rockstar Racing Husqvarna, up into 5th place. Do we have him?
Thad Duvall is in 37.3 seconds back now, so he rounds out the top 5.
We have lost Ricky Russell, at least for the moment. Has not come by. Looks like there's Ricky Russell and Trevor Bollinger hot on his heels. So here comes your 6th and 7th place riders in the overall and that Xc1 class. There he is, Ricky Russell in 6th, and right behind him the 739 of Trevor Bollinger. Welcome back to GNCC Racing, and welcome back to the Xc1 battle.
Wow, good lap time there by Bollinger as he turned to 25:21. We saw Russell drop to a 25:57 on that one, and it's not far off the pace of Thad Duvall either. He turned to 25:28. So these guys back in the pack a little bit, probably pacing off each other in that 25.5-minute lap time range. So we'll see if they start to pick it up. I have to think that Bollinger moving forward like this is going to certainly, I think, add fuel to the fire for these riders to pick it up. There's the leaders right there on screen heading into the Yamaha section, nearly getting taken out by a lapped rider that was down right there, Johnny Gallagher. Those are some of the obstacles and the unknown variables that you can't account for in GNCC racing, and fortunately both of our leaders were able to skirt by.
Yeah, you know, it's it can get hectic out there when you're rolling at such a high pace and you come up on a lapper, and sometimes they hear you rev, they hear you coming, and they want to get out of the way and end up going down, and that can create a little bit of extra drama, a little bit of extra heart rate spike, whatever it may be. But you know, those guys getting the job done, navigating that section, and on their way. Look like Stu opened up just a little bit of a gap over Lane, and now here is your 3rd place rider, Jordan Ashburn, that Magna 1 Lubricants Husky, looking good, looking smooth. But this guy right here, Ben Kelly, the 530 FMF KTM, is right there basically to the rear wheel now. That's just a few, 2, maybe 3 seconds, and we have got a wheel-to-wheel battle there over that final podium position shaping up right now.
Well, it's go time right now. I mean, if you watch the way the riders are riding, especially these finely tuned athletes nowadays, you know, they don't strike the. One of the things that I think whenever you start to see these riders really advance is whenever they quit being that frantic rider, whenever the chips are down and they start riding so frantically and actually do more harm than good. Basically what they do is they go out and they ride their race at good pace, a good fast pace, and wait for the right moment because they know what their abilities are. And again, we talk about it week after week, the endurance factor, and you know that third hour certainly being the proving point for a lot of different folks. And you know, for a lot of folks it happens at the 1.5 hour mark, and you know, and that's when we start to see the guys like Grant Baylor go to work, guys like Ben Kelly go to work and start to work their way up through. Also guys like Josh Strang, where the endurance really pays off.
Look at that battle. Ricky Russell and Trevor Bollinger were absolutely wheel to wheel and just revved out. Bollinger wanted to get around, Ricky Russell wanted to hang on to that position, and they just absolutely are just honing on it, man, giving it everything they got. And I wouldn't be surprised with the wheel-to-wheel battle like that if we see themselves push themselves back up. That is the 6th and 7th place spot. Thad Duvall kind of all alone by himself there in 5th. Wouldn't be surprised if we see Ricky and Trevor kind of push their way up towards Thad, which in turn, you know, Thad's still going to be trying to push. He's not that far out of a podium spot. So definitely trying to keep the pace up and keep himself. We're told the leaders are coming here at the 2-mile marker. We're down in the Monster Mile, and we're waiting.
Oh, Lane Michael by himself is what we're hearing, and that's what we're looking at.
So Stu may be collecting himself with a lapper. We'll see what the gap is. 44 seconds as he went out of sight there. There is Stu, so no major cause for alarm there. A little bit of a gap loss, so about going to be looking at right about 10, 11 seconds is the gap. So I don't think that, I mean, I could be wrong, but I don't think that this early in the race we're going to see Lane try to sprint to try and open up a gap on Stu. With an hour and a half left, I mean, that would be a very long sprint. Lane's sprint speed, anyone will tell you. I don't care if you talk to, you know, if you talk to Stu, if you talk to Caleb Russell, if you talk to Josh Strang, you know, whoever it is, everyone acknowledges that Lane's sprint speed is right up there with the best, if not the best. Looks like we have a rider down there. Don't believe that was one of our... Oh, it was. They're saying that was Jordan Ashburn possibly that was down, which now moves Ben Kelly up to... It was Ashburn. Ashburn going down on that downhill. And I got to tell you, Rodney, that downhill has some massive braking bumps. I'm talking will eat your pickup truck. They're so deep. And these guys pushing the pace that they are. He may have just collided with the lapper, didn't see what happened, or maybe just... oh, look, going down again, or nearly going down again, losing the front end. And sometimes, Rodney, that's what happens. The sense of urgency sets in. Mistake after mistake.
Yep, and as we saw there, you know, you talked about those deep bumps coming down the hill. You saw some deep ruts. It looked like saw Ashburn, you know, make that little mistake there. It looked like he went pretty deep out through there. As there goes Thad Duvall through now on the 989. Seems to be riding with some pretty good sense and also determination himself here today. As that puts us back as far as 5th place here at the Monster Mile. Our next riders through would be Ricky Russell and Trevor Bollinger. Should be coming through within the next few seconds, and we'll wait right here and see if we can't pick up with them. Is that Bollinger going through there now?
It is Bollinger. Bollinger and Ricky Russell.
Okay, Russell's right ahead of him,
Ricky Russell right ahead of him, the 212 machine on that coastal racing. Look at that. Bollinger again squaring him up and trying to make a pass. I tell you what, this is pretty exciting to see Trevor Bollinger not only out there, but racing for positions just outside of the top 5. Welcome. I've said it already today, but it excites me. Welcome back to GNCC Racing, and welcome back to the Xc1 battle. Trevor Bollinger, sure is good to have you back.
No doubt about it. Grant Baylor should be checking in through the Monster Mile in about 1 minute. Right now, we are an hour and nearly 30 minutes into this race, actually. We're 1 hour and 29 minutes, and when we come back, we've got the second half of this race. Will Stu Baylor be able to regain the lead? Will Lane Michael make it happen today? That question and many, many more will be answered right here on GNCC Live and RacerTV.com. Stick around.
Rocky Mountain ATV MC, retailer, distributor, manufacturer, product developer, parts tester. This is what we do. But who we are is something much simpler. We're riders, like you. 100% employee owned and operated, a company built by riders, entirely for riders. Rocky Mountain ATV MC. Get ready.
The directive: advance human performance beyond biological limitation.
Xc1 in the youth class, so let's see how you did. How'd you do, Nick?
I did pretty good. Yeah.
Position-wise?
I got third, trying to just salvage points.
So how'd you do on your start? What happened? Tell me. How'd the race go?
The start was not too good. I got the whole shot and then locked bars with Cole Forbes and fell in the second corner. That wasn't too good. But I made my way up to third in the first lap, which was pretty good.
How'd you like the track?
It was really rough. The lappers were tough to get around, but it was fun. It was fun to actually be able to go up a big hill finally for the youth.
What got you motivated for riding? Dad, TV shows, friends, family? What was it?
It was my dad. He started riding and I liked it and been riding since I was 3.
Wow. Since he was 3, guys. All right, guys, so I just finished interviewing Nick DeFeo, so we'll see you guys
in the booth.
Nick DeFeo, quite a young scrapper, if you will, out there.
T-Rex.
T-Rex. Oh, okay. Thank you, Mikey Wayne. Why do they call him T-Rex? He's got short little arms?
I wonder if he's got short arms.
Is that what it is?
True story. His mom called him that because when he was little, he had short arms.
Guys, on screen at the 5-mile marker, there's your leaders. Lane Michael still leading the way. Stu Baylor just behind him. Stu Baylor's entire left side absolutely covered in mud. I think that explains where the 10-second gap came from.
Yeah, he got a
past tense, because it's now a gap of 0.
Wow.
He's right back on Lane Michael, but it looks like he went down. There's a couple of creek sections between where they came through. I'm guessing Stu went down.
Or took a swim.
Hey, it's a hot day. Maybe he wanted to cool down.
I'm sorry, Johnny. Wow, beautiful. Man, these trees, or these leaves have popped so much more since yesterday and Friday. I remember looking at the leaves on the trees and thinking, wow, we could see down. And we can still see, but yesterday the vision through those trees were a little bit better, believe it or not. It's Ben Kelly picking him up now. I believe he is still running in that number 3 position in that gap. I can't tell if it's still around that 40-second range or a little more now.
I'd say it's probably still around that 40-second range. So if Ben Kelly wants to interject himself into this battle for the lead, he needs to get a move on. An hour and a half into this one, we're halfway through. When they come through and get, I'm assuming we're going to see, well, we saw Ben Kelly already pit. Lane Michael, Stu Baylor have not pitted. So judging by, let's call it a 9-10 second pit stop, Ben's going to pick up about 10 seconds there. But Ben's going to have to pit again next lap because Ben is on a 2-pit strategy where Stu Baylor, Lane Michael on a 1-pit strategy.
Wow, interesting. Hey, Johnny, you know, I don't know, maybe you and Mikey have already discussed this. I know it took me a while to get in here, but that gap is, I mean, this is what GNCC racing's all about as we watch this. But as we watch those guys go through, is the course any different dirt-wise between now and when we ride in October? I mean, are these guys facing anything different with the way things break down right now?
I mean, the dirt is definitely a little bit different. Rodney, I could be wrong, but judging by riding styles, I think we have a lead change. I think Stu Baylor is now back out front, Lane Michael into the number 2 position. So just in that 15 seconds or so that since we saw him last, I think we've had a change for the lead. Well, no, that is definitely Stu out front. I can tell by the sit down in the corners riding style. Lane kind of flowing things a little bit more. Stu has taken over the lead, and he is out front. And I tell you what, Stu Baylor right now is charging. We have not seen this kind of intensity out of Stu. Don't know if he's felt threatened by Lane or what the situation is, but he is pushing for all he's worth, and I believe they're coming to the pits.
Yeah, and that might be a reason. Maybe they're both pushing right now to get into the pits and try to give themselves a little more even breathing time there, even though 40 seconds seems like a lot for Stu Baylor. I'm sure that he knows as well as anybody that can slip away very, very quickly. So the more time you can get, the better off you are as you head toward the checkers.
So there is Corey McDonald with some goggles there. Look at these guys are going to be wheel to wheel when they come in. Yep, Stu Baylor leading the way. Fresh 100% goggles on for him. Lane Michael coming in behind him. The fuel jugs are in, making sure they don't get any dirt on the inside of the goggles. Taking a goo there. Looks like Lane doesn't have goggles on just yet. Oh, Lane actually trying to get by, and Stu is blocking him to get out of the pits. Lane tried to go around the outside, and there was nowhere for him to go.
Hey, I tell you, there's nothing better than a great rivalry, but how about a great rivalry between teammates? I mean, that's even better.
I tell you what, I'm going to be honest with you, Rodney. I almost said something when they were pulling into the pits. I mean, they have roughly 70 foot of space there, and they pitted wheel to wheel. If I don't care if I was Stu or Lane's mechanics, I absolutely would have put some space in between there just for the purpose of, you know, if not to get them kind of congested and everybody tripping over each other. So, and there we see Ben Kelly, just a splash of gas. So interesting, Ben Kelly opting to splash now, meaning he's going to go the distance and go to the finish from here, where we would have expected to see him maybe try to go one more lap to make up that gap a little bit. But a splash and go, he probably made up a few seconds there, but definitely not the full 10 that we were anticipating. So we'll see what that gap is when they get to the finish. But Stu Baylor is absolutely pushing the pace. The intensity has definitely ratcheted up. Lane Michael is having to really, really push to stay on the rear wheel of Stu Baylor.
Well, gas mileage, is that a consideration today? I mean, do we have to think about that? Is the ground soft enough that it's zapping the soil? Are these guys using enough of the throttle that they're using more gas because of that?
I would say no, and the reason why I say that, to say that gas mileage isn't or shouldn't be a consideration, is because now this will be 5 laps complete when they come into the finish here in just a couple of miles. When they come in to the finish there with 5 laps complete, there should only be 3 laps left. So it will register as a 8-lap race, I do believe is how it's going to pan out. But it's going to be 7 full laps plus that short lap. So they'll have done 4 short laps, or 4 full laps plus the short lap without fueling, so that with only 3 full laps left, there's no reason they should have to worry about fuel consumption. They should absolutely be able to just twist it to the finish and use all the gas they want to get.
Well, leaders due in about 7 minutes or so, a little more than 7. Baylor and Lane Michael still going at it for that number 1 spot, and some 40 seconds back or so. Ben Kelly moving into the number 3 spot around Jordan Ashburn here on this lap of racing. And like we said, we were alluding to the fact that some very intense battling going on between these two, Lane Michael and of course the second place ride back there, and then of course the guy up front, Stu Baylor, both teammates. And you know, Stu came into this game a little bit late last season, if you remember, and I know that Lane was kind of probably maybe feeling a little bit threatened, and then you know you come into this season and you've got Stu that is doing so well and winning so many races, and now Lane finally finding the groove and the flow that he's been looking for. We see well, basically coming off what I would consider his best GNCC race ever a couple of weeks ago, getting the U.S. Sprint Enduro win. The confidence is certainly building, and I think it's showing point blank right now with what we're seeing with him trying to push Stu to the limit that he's pushing him to right now.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and I think as we saw that camera shot, those guys coming down there at the at the FMF PowerPoint, the speed they were carrying, I don't know if it was just the way they were panning through the trees, but it looked like they were in like hyperdrive, warp speed. Those guys are just absolutely blistering the pace right now, and I think what we're going to see is we're going to see that gap, either we're going to see, oh, look at Jordan Ashburn now missing a visor. So the struggles continue for Jordan Ashburn. He had a crash on screen, or just off screen, had another one after that, or a near crash, and now it appears he has lost that visor off that helmet. So maybe contact with another tree, or just kind of clipping a limb on the way by, but still solidly in that 4th place spot. There is the rider in 5th. So now Thad Duvall up to within, probably getting pit board that he's within 15-20 seconds of Jordan Ashburn for that 4th place spot, and that's definitely something that he would like to do, is interject himself into that battle, try to get up there, get a little bit closer to that podium place position that I'm sure he wants to be in.
No doubt. Another battle going on. We talk keeping a lot of emphasis on our XC1 Pro class, but those XC2 Pro riders also had some pretty good battling going on.
There we see Trevor Bollinger. So has he gotten around Ricky Russell? I believe he has, and has maybe put even some distance between himself and Ricky. We'll wait and see if we do find the number 212 Coastal Racing Gas or Ricky Russell. I don't believe, there he goes. So Trevor Bollinger has gotten around Ricky Russell and put about 10 to 15 seconds on him. And did we happen to see where Josh Strang slotted in? Well, I guess, no, it should have been at the end of last lap. We should have gotten an update, or has he not completed another lap yet since?
I'll check right now, Johnny.
I was just curious. We want to keep an eye on that, obviously.
Yeah, definitely.
Points being a rider that currently sits in 5th place, even after that DNF at the last round in the overall points.
Buffering, there we go. All right, taking a look at this now as far as 4 laps down for our riders and top 20 overall. Obviously, we don't see the 114 there. And as we scan down a little further, he has dropped off only to 24th place position overall. So it's not that bad. He's 2 minutes and 5 seconds behind the rider in the next highest position class in the class. Excuse me, just a minute.
Looks like we've got Corey McDonald in the pits and giving an update on what he's got going to his riders out front here right now in the overall.
Yeah, thanks, Johnny. Down here with Corey at the Ampro Yamaha pits. Corey, talk to us, man. Your guys are 1 and 2 right now, Lane Michael and Stu Baylor. I think Stu got out a little bit in front of them, but a good position to have those 2 guys pitting at the same time. Everything ran smooth. Tell us how you guys are feeling right now.
We're feeling really good right now. We were second guessing ourselves on pin on 3rd lap or maybe the 4th lap. I was just crunching numbers. I know what these guys get from fuel mileage, so last second I was like, they're going to make it on 4, and that'll push us to the finish because it's going to be a good bit of amount of laps today. So, yeah, Stewart's, he's gone swimming a couple times from what I hear on our radio, and he's getting back up and going. But, yeah, him and Lane, they're killing it. Lane, he's doing a great job today, and we're all excited here.
It's a good time to be in the Ampro Yamaha pits. Nick V, pan over here. The chess game has started. If you pan over to KTM here in a second, they took fuel a lap before you guys. They got the fuel tanks covered up over there. I think the chess games are going on right now. Peek. We'll send it back to you guys in the booth.
All right, thanks a lot, Mikey. Seems like some strategy maybe starting to play in there. If nothing else, some little mind game playing going on in our pro pit area as we take a look at things out here at the Monster Mile. One of my favorite camera shots. I like the way they go away and then come back at you like that. As there goes Ben Kelly now, your 3rd place rider, as he works his way through some lap traffic. Appears to be pretty much still by himself out there, Johnny. But, that seems to be one of the ways that he works best as well when he's by himself.
Yeah, he's definitely starting to, open up a little bit of a gap on Jordan Ashburn after we saw him pass Ashburn in that crash, but doesn't appear that he's making any inroads towards the front 2 just yet anyway. Here we see the 989 of Thad Duvall. So Ashburn actually looks like he put in a bit of a push, and he's gotten back up closer to Ben Kelly. So visor be damned. He's going for it.
Going for it. Thad Duvall looking strong, building solid right now. Steve Hatch out there.
Steve Hatch out there cheering the boys on.
Yeah, good to see Steve. Still coming out to the GNCCs and a big part of a lot of programs throughout the GNCC Racing Nation. Also up there in New York with Nioa. and I believe even in the New England series as well. So, you know, Steve's a pretty busy individual, and rightfully so, man. I mean, he was one of the first guys that I ever can recall really being so adamant on nutrition and hydration and training and things of that nature.
Yeah, absolutely. Great asset there. Trevor Bollinger, you can see him cheering all those guys on. Bollinger still charging. Again, has gotten around Ricky Russell and is now solidly up into that 6th place spot, not too far behind his teammate on that Rockstar Racing Husqvarna fed ball. Ricky Russell going the other way, trying to kind of stop the bleeding. He was up there in that 3rd place spot early, 4th place spot early, and has now dropped back to 7th. So he's still within sight of 6th and 5th there in front of him, or within striking distance, but he needs to up the pace. And a rider that we would have expected to see up the pace by now, if he was going to do it and get himself up into a battle for the podium, Grizzly Grant.
Yeah.
Just doesn't seem to be clicking for him today. We're not seeing that meteoric rise through the pack that we've seen so many times this season. He is still charging. There he is, currently in the 8th place spot, but a long way to go to get up even into the top 5, let alone podium position.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, those are pretty much, I think, a distant hope at this particular point. But, you know, right now, Grant seems to be riding more with a sense of urgency than he has been all races. We just saw him exiting that 9-mile monster mile section, and, you know, maybe he might be able to bridge some gap. But like you say, I mean, when you start putting the math to it right now, I mean, Grant was nearly a minute down at the end of lap number 4 behind Trevor Bollinger, and then you just start doing the math. He was nearly probably 2.5 to 3 minutes out of a podium position. So to make up 3 minutes over the course of the next 2 or 3 laps is, you know, I don't want to say impossible, but certainly going to be a struggle. It looks like the wind's starting to pick up as we watch those banners move in the background there.
What a windy weekend it's been. Yesterday we saw some big winds. There we see Stu Baylor with a towel flapping from his hand grip, and he's looking back. It looks like he has finally shaken the tail of Lane Michael. So the 523 machine is no longer on the rear wheel of the 514. He takes a look over, still no, or was that may have been Lane. It was going the other way. We'll see here in just a moment. It was. So he's pulled in basically the distance of that finish line section. But again, we saw those guys on screen when they came out of the pits, just fully pinned, full sprint, going for it. Oh, and look at this. Whoa, whoa, whoa. That is not 40 seconds.
No, it's not. Well, we're going to find out just exactly what that is in just a moment, Johnny Gallagher.
We'll see if we can get the scoring up and get an update on that. But Lane Michael has dropped just a little bit off of Stu Baylor, and it appears that Ben Kelly has made up some time. We're trying to check. It looks like right now, actually that was only with lap 5 complete. Yeah. 9 seconds back to Lane Michael and 37. No, that can't be right, because that's showing Jordan Ashburn in 3rd. Yeah, Ben Kelly.
That's what I'm waiting on. I'm looking at lap times here. 25, 28. That is okay. So we are getting
So something is amiss with our results right now. We saw on screen Ben Kelly definitely in that 3rd place spot. They're showing Jordan Ashburn in the 3rd place spot after 5 laps.
Yeah, it just hasn't updated, I don't think, just yet. So we'll give it just a second here. I'm going to update it myself here. Push that button, and boom.
Well, it's showing lap 5, though. So I'm guessing Ben Kelly's transponder perhaps not working, and they entered it in manually is the only thing I could think of. But he is definitely ahead of Jordan Ashburn there. So that means he is, and he was probably a good 10 seconds ahead of him. So maybe we're going to use some round numbers here and say that he's roughly 25 seconds back of Stu Baylor at the moment, and probably only about 12 to 15 seconds back of Lane Michael. Oh, we got a rider down. I thought for a moment that was one of our leaders, but that is actually, looks like rider number 107, Connor is the last name, going down on that hard-packed slick soil, coming out of the finish line here and charging on his way, getting right back up and well on his way. So, yeah, a lot of action happening on screen here. We do know Stu Baylor definitely leading the way. Lane Michael definitely in 2nd. Ben Kelly in 3rd. And the 4th place ride of Jordan Ashburn. Here, it looks like, well, we should have a little bit of time until these guys come here out to the 1 mile marker. There's actually a bike-only section in here as well. So it'll be just a few minutes until we see these guys pop out.
Well, as soon as...
Oh, there he is, Stu Baylor on screen. Now the towel is on his other hand. So he's using those towels maybe to dry out his grips from when he went down there, Rodney.
All right, here it is. Stu Baylor, 25-28 lap time, puts him now 9 seconds ahead of Lane Michael. Ben Kelly turning a 25-10 lap time, which was faster than both Stu Baylor and Lane Michael, obviously, because he bridged that gap down from near 40 to just under 20 seconds at 19.5 seconds. So we see him moving up. Jordan Ashburn is another 20 seconds back in fourth. Thad Duvall turning a 25-15, nearly as fast as Ben Kelly's lap time there in the number 5 spot, and a 25-24, good lap time for Trevor Bollinger back in the number 6 position as well.
Absolutely. These guys are pushing the pace, and things are starting to tighten up at the front. Here we see now Jordan Ashburn has actually lost a little bit of ground, that he was a little bit closer to Ben Kelly when we saw him last, so we'll wait and see if he has possibly given up a little bit of distance to Thad Duvall. And nope, that's not Duvall there. Got all excited. So Duvall charging up, trying to get himself into that battle to see. There is Duvall, the 989 Rockstar Racing Husqvarna. Again, good to see him back. A tough opener to the season for him. Well, the opening race finished second, but since then it's kind of been a struggle. Up there battling and up within striking distance of the 4th place position, which is Jordan Ashburn.
25-25 lap time for Grant Baylor. He's up to the number 8 position right now. Just to give you an idea, he's now 32 seconds out of 7th place behind Ricky Russell. He was a minute behind, just to give you an idea, and when they completed lap number 4. So he has made up some time there on lap number 5, and maybe more than we gave him credit for at one point, Johnny.
Yeah, looking at those lap times though, at a 1:49, or I'm sorry, 1 hour and 49 minutes, his lap time was a 25:25, and the fastest rider on the track was Ben Kelly there at a 25:10. So he was faster than quite a few of the riders in front of him, but Thad Duvall was faster, Ben Kelly was faster. So Grant putting in a good charge, but not making up a sizable amount of time on any of the top 5 at least. Making up time on Ricky Russell, who lost about 30 seconds to Trevor Bollinger. So I think we could see, realistically, probably see Grant up there battling with Ricky if he's able to keep that pace up, and maybe getting up to Bollinger, but anything beyond that, he's really going to have to pick this speed up if he wants to try to get to that top 5.
Exactly. So 1 hour and what are we looking at? Nearly an hour and 52 minutes into this one, so just a little more than an hour of racing left to go.
Rodney, new leader in the Xc2 class. Johnny Gerard, new leader. Wow. Johnny Gerard has taken over the lead. Mike Witkowski was your leader last lap. Stu Baylor on screen, and we'll see what the gap is there. 152.07 as he rounds that corner, and coming the other way should be Lane Michael, the 523 machine. There he is on cue. So 07, we're at 10 seconds right there, looking like about 11 seconds back. So 2:07. We'll see what the gap is back to Ben Kelly. Ben Kelly coming. Here he is charging. So we're at 22 seconds right now. 23, 24, 25, 26. About 26 seconds is the gap back to Ben Kelly. A big change from a lap ago where it was over 40.
So, wow, chipping away at it, no doubt about that. And we are chipping away at working our way toward the conclusion of this race. As we said, nearing the 2-hour mark at 1 hour and now 53 minutes into this race. You know, with the amount of times it's taking these riders traverse this track at 25 minutes, so we are getting a better idea of how many more laps we got to go.
I can't get over Jordan without this visor. He looks like a bullet head, just charging around out there in that 5th place spot, and I'm sorry, 4th place spot, and this guy right here, Thad Duvall, trying to run him down, but he just looks awesome out there. No visor, still charging. That's the spirit of GNCC racing right there. Never give up.
Never give up, and we won't. And we've got another hour to watch them go for it, so folks, stick around. As we said, we got Stu Baylor out front, Lane Michael running back there in that number 2 spot, and on the move right now, fastest man on the racetrack in 3rd place, your point leader, Ben Kelly. Will he catch the 2AM Pro Yamaha? Stick around to find out. GNCC Live continues after this.
Even when you're the best, you never stop striving to be better. With over 40 years of experience in motorcycle sales and service, we know racing. Our inventory of Yamaha motorcycles, sport bikes, dirt bikes, ATVs, and side-by-sides is extensive and constantly changing. Stop by LoJack Cycle Sales today in Tarentum, Pennsylvania, and visit our online inventory at www.lojacks.com. Yamaha YZs. It's why we ride.
Hi, my name is Andrea Lieb, the director of On Track School. How would you like to go to a school where we take into consideration how students learn best? Well, we do that because we find if we can build the curriculum around the things you are interested in, you're going to do a better job. The mission at On Track School is that educational success is possible while chasing your dreams. Not only will our staff help students to achieve success, they will cheer you on to the finish line. We encourage you to check out On Track School at ontrackschool.com, where we can help you chase your dreams and still get a quality education.
Well, as we all know, a big part of GNCC racing is, well, amateur racing. About 95% of the riders that race on a racetrack like today, nearly 800 in the morning race program and 300 riders, and we had, I think, somewhere in the neighborhood of about 15 pros on the front row of this one today. So the rest of it's all amateurs, and this is how it all breaks down as we start with our FMF Xc3 125 Pro-Am. Chase Colville out front of Jonathan Johnson. We could see the upset coming here today. Ben Parsons in the number 3 spot, Max Fernandez in 4th, and Zach Hayes rounding out the top 5. That could be kind of interesting if that one takes place. Will Sievenpiper out of Georgia leading Tanner Whipple in the number 2 spot. Tyler Braniff in the number 3 position. Then it's Chase Hayes in 4th and Evan Earl rounding out the top 5. All righty, now we got a little time, I guess. 258 class, Bubs Tasha. Here's something interesting. A great battle shaping up between these two as Tasha comes out of Massachusetts. He's one of those New England Rippas, if you will, and really giving JoJo Cunningham a run for his money. 158 class, Sean Myers leading Jaden Donner's Blake Kohler in the number 3 spot. Hunter Smith is 4th. Lucas Benito in the number 5 positions. Grant Davis leading the 4-stroke A lights class. Tyler Palmer in 2nd. Peyton Harden in the number 3 position. Cooper Jones in 4th. And then we see Gary Inman rounding out the top 5 positions of the 4-stroke A lights class. And moving on next to Andrew Boggs leading that junior 825 plus class out of Masontown, West Virginia. Logan Pollard in 2nd, Grant Marriott in 3rd, Dalton Riddle in 4th, and Caleb Haynes rounding out the top 5. We'll be heading over toward Masontown here in just a couple of rounds as well, so it should be a pretty good time. That 830 plus class has Andrew Smith out front with Cameron Ishmael in the number 2 spot. James Bauer is 3rd, Joe Marsh in 4th, and Brandon Forrester rounding out the top 5 in the Bet 830 plus class here today. Senior A class, Frank Messina, old Smiling Frank out of Campbell Hall, New York, leading shotgun Sean Remington in 2nd. And I believe Sean got the whole shot in the early lead, but Frank's out front of this one. Joe Dean in 3rd. Brandon Monroe is 4th, and Vinny Tomic rounds out your top 5. Open B class, Austin Hovatter from Arthurdale, West Virginia. Landon Rogers running in the number 2 spot. Miles Gefkin is 3rd. John Hawkins is 4th. And Burke Marsiglia rounds out your top 5. All those guys over toward the East Coast area, West Virginia, Maryland, Pennsylvania. Lane Whitmer leading this one out of Pennsylvania with Cameron Madison in the number 2 spot. Rodrigo Correa in 3rd. Colton Shields is 4th. Landon Beatty rounding out the top 5 of the 250B class. In the 150B class, Matthew Hollenbeck leading Aiden Myers as Hayden Serena now running into number 3 position. Looking back to that number 4 spot, it's got Peyton Gwynn and Carter Winland rounding out your top 5 in the 150B class. 4-stroke B lights, Ty Ely out front of Max Grant in this one. I'm sure is a pretty good battle shaping up between these guys. Garrett Mundy back in the number 3 spot with Caden Sims in 4th, and Levi Self in the number 5 spot. That 4-stroke B lights class, highly competitive, no doubt about it. And I believe that might be the majority of them. I believe, said, yep, there's the Vet B class. Michael Funk, Brandon Belcher, Brian Rezotarski, also Andrew Lowell and Adam Odell. Brian's always had it's always been tough to say his name, but he's out of Cuyahoga Falls, Ohio, as we see a good split of different riders from different parts of the eastern United States in that one. And our senior B class, I believe we've already taken a look at that one as well. So like we said, you know, if you want to check that out for yourself, you can go into GNCCRacing.com and you can watch live timing and scoring results as they make their way off the computer itself. You can watch the overall, you can watch class by class, you can even sign up, and if you've got a specific rider you want to follow, you can get a text alert every time they come through the finish line. So it's a pretty neat, nifty little thing they got as far as live timing and scoring is concerned in our GNCC racing here at America's premier off-road racing championship in the world-renowned GNCC series. As we pick the action back up here, Stu Baylor, Lane Michael. It looks like all Stu by himself here today, as we are now past the 2-hour mark, and that push that we saw Stu Baylor doing has seemed to work a little bit of magic there. I don't see Lane lurking too closely back there as Stu works his way through the pro pit area now, Johnny.
Well, and Rodney, this kind of goes back to what we saw last lap as they were coming into the pits. Stu Baylor missing a left handguard there, so making a little contact with the tree there. Lane Michael making a contact with, or actually, I'm sorry, that was Stu there. I thought that was Lane for a minute. So Lane looks like may have just entered into VP Fuels Pro Row going the other direction. So we saw Stu really ratchet the pace up. Lane initially was able to match that intensity, but it looks like Stu just kind of kept pouring it on. It was able to get away. Now we see Lane Michael in VP Fuels Pro Row going by, so not a huge gap, but Stu has been able to break away, and I fear, if you're a Lane Michael fan, that may drop him back into the clutches of Ben Kelly. And there is Ben Kelly.
Yep, and but again, you know, you got to be stoked for Lane Michael. I mean, coming off the best ride, I'm going to say he is even bettering that best ride that he had a couple of weeks ago here today. So, Lane certainly got a lot of pluses and positives as far as this program is concerned, and I know that Randy Hawkins and all the folks over at Ampro Yamaha and Yamaha Blue Crew are super stoked to see what this team has elevated to in the last 8 months or so.
Absolutely, you know, and you can't say enough about that squad over there and Yamaha as a whole. I mean, you know, it bears mentioning that, you know, this team struggling for podiums, struggling for wins for the last several years, basically since the departure of Paul Whibley. You know, Ricky Russell got a win there for him at Snowshoe a few years ago. Mike Rakowski obviously got some wins last year in that Xc2 class. Josh Toth winning a championship there for him on the 250 side of things in the lights class, but in the Xc1 class they've been struggling a little bit. And this year to have two guys that are solid podium contenders, I mean, that speaks volumes about the effort that's being put in there. There is Duval. That is your 5th place rider. We believe he is still chasing after the number 3 Magna One Motorsports lubricant machine of Jordan Ashburn, who is there still in 4th. But Lane Michael, Stuart Baylor, I know the big boss from Yamaha, Donnie Luce, is here today. I'm sure he's happy to see 2 Yamahas out front. And yeah, I mean, you can't, if you got 2 riders, if they're running 1 and 2, you can't really be anything but happy in that situation.
No doubt, especially, I mean, if you follow GNCC for very long, you know that Sunday normally is an orange brigade basically up front.
Oh, well, you know, Rodney, I'm glad you said it, because obviously me being a blue guy, like, I love GNCC Racing. I love all the brands. I'm excited to see Gavin.
But it is what it is.
I'm excited to see Beta. I'm excited to see, you know, Corey Butcher, Kevin Rye with Beta. All these factories, anytime they're here, it's awesome. Wish we saw a little bit more of it on the ATV side. But that being said, obviously I'm blue at heart. You know, Yamaha's been great to me, and it gives me great pride to see the success that they're having, not only in Xc1, But obviously this morning 1 and 2 overall in the WXC class, and actually I think 1 and 3 overall. Ryan Sipes was 2 overall, but Becca Sheets and Rachel Archer have been kind of dominating that WXC class so far this year. Again, Lane Michael kind of resurgent, and you pointed out, I really think Lane's inspiration for this is he was the top guy on this team the last couple years. Now that Stu kind of came into his house and started winning, he's like, man, I got to win too if I want to keep my ride. Ben Kelly charging, trying to keep the hopes alive for the Orange Brigade. Still, Ben Kelly the points leader, so you can't take anything away from that KTM team.
No, and he's doing what he needs to do. He's riding those smart races, and like I pointed out, it's a methodical process that he goes through. He doesn't ride with a sense of urgency. He just rides, and as the race goes on, it just sort of comes to him, and he takes it as it comes, and he knows when to push, when not to push. And the thing is, he's another one of those finely tuned athletes that knows his body as well as anyone out there, so he knows what time it is to push and where he needs to push, what level he can sustain during an extended period of time in order to make the push when it's necessary to make that push as well. And it is a lot of science.
And I think that Ben Kelly is a rider that, like you said, a lot of science, a lot of effort that goes into it. But he is kind of like one of those, almost like one of those older guys. We talk about him being a diesel engine. They got to kind of get warmed up. Ben Kelly, not typically that guy that just sprints right out of the gate. He kind of rides himself into the pace that he's going to ride for the day. So the fact that he's so close to second and not all that far off the lead, but I got to say, man, Stu looks good. It's tough. I really want to see Ben and I want to see Thad up there. I want to see all these guys up there battling. I want to see a 6-way battle for the lead. But realistically, man, I really think Stu is just kind of managing this one from the front right now. Now, I will say, if Ben Kelly can get within eye shot of Stu Baylor, that means that either one of two things has happened. Stu let his guard down, or Ben has just been able to put that much pace down that there's nothing Stu can do to stop him. But if he's going to do it, he needs to do it soon. We got less than an hour to go.
And, and Stu usually not a victim of the mind game so much, but he is a victim of the math game. He does the math. And if he goes back and looks at some results and sees that, hey, Ben's really starting to catch me here at this juncture during the race, that's where the mind games start to play.
Sure. When you're looking at those gaps, you're seeing that on the pit board. If you see a guy that's coming and you think, oh, okay, well, I'm just going to pick the pace up, it's worth mentioning that when you pick the pace up and it doesn't pan out and he continues to catch you, or you feel like you picked the pace up, then it can start to weigh on you heavy and you can say, well, what do I got to do to shake this guy? So Stu Baylor very mentally strong, but as you pointed out, Ben Kelly mentally strong as well. And Lane Michael, we can't just overlook him. He's right in the middle of the two guys that we're kind of talking about as the championship contenders, and he's right there in between them. Ricky Russell on screen was real strong early, kind of been seemingly trying to struggle to find his pace here, and it looks like we talked about it. This guy right here, Grant Baylor, tracking him down. We saw he was about 30-something seconds back of him last time. Now that number is more like 10 or less. He is inside of Ricky Russell, and he's kind of got the hook in him, reeling him in. So we'll see if Ricky's able to respond and pull back away from Grant. That is the battle over 7th place on track, both overall and in the Xc1 class.
And that's another thing worth mentioning as well. Something that Stu Baylor going through the Monster Mile, something interesting to worth mentioning. We've seen in years past, it seems like a lot of times, and even a couple of times this year, we've seen those XC2 guys getting into the overall. The last handful of races, Johnny, we haven't really seen that a whole lot.
Yeah, I think that goes to kind of what we talked about earlier with how Stu Baylor has really been sprinting early. Wow, this is a gap that he has opened up. We still do not see. Did we miss 2nd place, Lane Michael? No. There's Lane, and on his rear wheel, Ben Kelly. So these guys, now the gap is really starting to grow to Stu Baylor. I can tell you, it was 07:56 when Stu went out of shot way over here. So we're at 30 seconds right now. We're at, let's see, I think we're going to be at 40 seconds. We're darn near. We're at a little over 40 seconds, so probably 41, 42 seconds. That was down to under 20. It's now back up over 40. Stu Baylor is sprinting. Don't know if he got the memo that Ben Kelly was coming, or if he just decided, hey, this is when I'm going, this is my spot, I know I can sprint from here, but he's opened the gap up. And we got our barn burner going on over that second place position.
No doubt about that, and that's going to one to keep an eye on. Speaking of barn burners, Johnny, did you happen to catch the EMTB GNCC last night? That right there.
I got so excited, I just dumped over my Mountain Dew. Don't worry, it's in the control room. It was closed. It didn't spill. But, man, what a battle that was.
No doubt about it. As we check out our Specialized Turbo GNCC EMTB highlights from our AMA National Championship. Well, you know, Nick Mackey has been coming out of Florida. He is the Florida Mountain Bike State Champion out of there, and he's been riding these EMTB GNCCs the last few rounds. Well, this week he got off to an amazing start. We had 80 riders, everything from the pros, the amateurs, we had masters, we had women's, we had youth riders out there, and I think we had trail riders, if I'm not mistaken, that made their way around. But just an amazing race all the way around. John Ayers, that you know from Moto T's, a 1980 Blackwater 100 winner. He took the win in the masters class out there. But like we were saying, it came down to the finish. And get this race, see how close they are right here? Boom! That was the finish, about a half a wheel length, not even that really, but that race never separated more than a half second from the drop of the gate, basically. They hit that first turn side by side. It was Charlie Mullins out front at the end of the first lap, and then it was Nick Mackey leading by 0.005 and 0.359 whenever the checkers finally flew.
You know, this is one of those moments where you kind of realize, Rodney, I'm gonna steal one of your lines here. Something's brewing. Something's growing. Something's happening here. GNCC mountain bike. Charlie Mullins, yes, he's a multi-time GNCC champion, but Charlie Mullins is a world-class mountain bike racer at the moment that wins everything regionally, that has won every GNCC where he didn't have mechanical issue. Trevor Bollinger on screen, and Trevor looks good. He is absolutely rolling right now. He has gotten away from Ricky Russell. He is continuing to pull on Grant Baylor, and he's got a little bit of gap to make up to Thad Duvall for that 5th place spot, but still a very solid ride there for Trevor Bollinger, currently sitting in that 6th place position. Lane Whitmer on screen there. That is your 250B lights leader. There is Grant Baylor. He has gotten around Ricky Russell, so he's made that pass. He's now up into the 7th place spot. There's Lane, little Lane, one of our youth riders last year, moved up to the 3-hour race and has been killing it. Has won, I believe, every race or nearly every race so far this season. Okay, in the finish line chicane, Stu Baylor coming, and we see a 2-lap board is out, meaning 6 complete, 2 to go. Going to be an 8-lap race.
And that should put us right at 3 hours with them running right in the 25-minute mark. So with 2 hours and 11 minutes, 50 minutes, that'll be a 3-hour and 1-minute race or so, I think, is what we'll be looking at if it stays consistent.
And in this section right here that we're looking at, we just saw that finish of that EMTB yesterday, Rodney. We just watched the clip from that. I got to tell you, I was listening to that. I was listening to you and Mikey call that. I had goosebumps. Like, in my head, I got to be honest. In my head, I'm thinking, oh, Charlie will pass him on the last lap. It's Charlie. The fact that Nick Mackey was able to hold him off is upset that Charlie is, and I'm sure he wanted to win. Lane Michael still in 2nd. Hot on his heels, though, is the 530 FMF KTM of Ben Kelly. He is right there. He's putting the pressure on Lane. 2 laps to go to get the pass made. But I tell you what, that gap has just opened up too much. I don't know that he's going to be able to run Stu Baylor down. Rodney, if we look and see what that gap is, we try to get scoring to load here. Things are lagging a little bit, maybe just because we've had so many racers this weekend. The server is overloaded.
Yeah, so many racers in general. Yeah, the morning race this morning must have clogged it up. I see, dude, 43 seconds.
Yeah.
43 seconds between 1st and 2nd now, and 1.2 seconds between 2nd and 3rd. So that gap is continually growing. If you look at lap times right now, 24:43 for Stu Baylor, a 25:18 for Lane Michael, and a 25 flat for Ben Kelly. So Ben Kelly picking up the pace quite a bit, but again, I mean, the proof's in the pudding right there. 24:43, that lap time that he laid down, phenomenal. And that's what's really making the difference as far as this gap is concerned right now. The big question is when these other riders start checking in, what's their lap times like? Are they going to be in that 25? Are they going to be in that 24-minute range? What is Grant running at right now? Because he always seems as the race wears on, he seems to be one of the fastest, if not the fastest rider on the track oftentimes. And if he's hitting that 24-minute zone and that 24.5-minute zone, we might see him work a little farther up than what we originally anticipated this late in the race.
Yeah, it's just there's just so much time to be made up there. There we see our Xc2 leader, Johnny Gerard. We believe that is still the Xc2 leader. Oh, look at this. No, Mike Witkowski is now taking the lead back. Gerard back into second place. So that is the battle right there that you're watching on screen. The 282 Ampro Yamaha of Witkowski leading, and his teammate, Stu Baylor, the 514 leading Xc1. So right now that Ampro Yamaha team first and second in Xc1 and leading Xc2. Again, speaking back to what we spoke about before, the orange tidal wave that has kind of steamrolled GNCC for the last decade or more. Right now, the blue crew kind of making some noise.
Yes, for sure. We see lap 6 in for not only Baylor, Michael, and Kelly, but also Jordan Ashburn checking in. He's turned in, well, it looks like 4th place position again. He is running about a minute behind Ben Kelly right now. Thad Duvall another 12 seconds back in the number 5 position. Trevor Bollinger checking in another 37 seconds back in that 6th place position. All right, Ben Kelly up to the number 2 spot now, looks like.
He has made his way around Lane Michael. Lane Michael there right behind him, but he has been able to make the pass. Now, with 2 laps to go, just under 2 laps to go, about a lap and 10 miles, does Ben Kelly have anything in the tank to try to push, to try to make up ground on Stu Baylor? 43 seconds, I believe you said the gap was?
Yeah.
43 seconds. So that's a big gap. But, you know, there's a lot of things that can happen out there. I would love to see a battle for the win here today.
That would be awesome, and a great way to close out this Hoosier GNCC. However, I believe that Stu Baylor may have a little bit different idea about the way he wants to see this race end, and if he can continue at the pace at which he is racing, he's going to get his way, I'm afraid. 2 hours and now near 16 minutes into this race, Johnny. We're at the 1 mile marker watching some of these riders check through. You know, one of my questions is about XC2 riders is what happened to Liam Draper today? I know he started off as a ball of fire. He's back in that number 3 spot. You know, when we look at this, he's not out of contention yet. He's 11.5 seconds off pace, and I don't think that we've maybe given him the credit maybe he's due. That's another rider that we've seen maybe racing some of the best GNCC races of his career over consistently, at least over the course of the last few races on that 198 machine. And Craig DeLong back there still in the number 4 spot. Cody Barnes rounding out the top 5 as they wrapped up a lap ago, so they're due in here in just a few moments. Shouldn't be much longer. We'll start seeing those riders check in, and we'll get a better idea of what that XC2 battle is starting to shape up like. But the way it stands right now, it's looking pretty interesting.
Yeah, that XC2 battle is absolutely a barn burner, and you know, we mentioned earlier in the show, we saw that yesterday in the ATV race. I believe there was 5 riders on the last lap battling for the win in XC2, but right now the guy leading the way in the overall and the XC1 class, covered in mud on his left side from an earlier crash, Stu Baylor just out there charging the ruts, absolutely just pinned, doing all that he can do to try and open up that gap even further on Ben Kelly. We'll see what it is when they come by. We're at over 10 seconds already. Ben's still not into the frame. We know it was 43 seconds we last saw. I just don't know. I don't know how this one's going to play out. It's hard to bet against Stu right now. I mean, you know, 3 wins in a row, and to have this kind of a gap with 2 laps to go, I mean, he can ride within his comfort zone, and unless Ben can pull something really special together. Look at this. Here's Ben, and Lane Michael has still latched on and is still right there behind him.
Yeah, quite an impressive ride once again for Lane Michael, as here we are 2 hours and 17 minutes into this race, and the endurance level is rising, you know, and it seems like he's riding even with more and more wisdom, and he's learning, it looks like, the valuable lessons that need to be learned. The question is, will he be able to maybe put it back up into second place and get back around Ben Kelly to put that distance between he and Stu Baylor to maybe help Stu out in his bid for the championship? Maybe some team tactics a little bit. I know all Lane wants right now is that second place position and maybe a win if it can come to him. Stick around to find out if they can make it happen or what is going to happen as GNCC Live continues after this.
We are American motorcyclists. We are members of the American Motorcyclist Association. Racers, fans, and crew. We come together for this sport we love, to race together, to grow together. We start young and not so young. We race motorcycles and ATVs. We become friends, we become family. We compete for weekend bragging rights and national championships. We make memories on the toughest off-road courses in the country and on the best motocross tracks in the world. Some of us aspire to the speed and poise of road racing or the fierce competitiveness of American flat track, and we honor our greatest champions in the AMA Motorcycle Hall of Fame. Through it all, we cheer, we win, and we lose. We are racing. We are the AMA. Race with us. Be part of the greatest sport in the world. Be an American motorcyclist. Join us today at www.amajoin.com/join-now.
Brown's RV Superstore is family owned and operated and stake their reputation on offering you the finest RVs available in their McBee, South Carolina RV dealership. Brown's RV Superstore carries motorhomes, fifth wheels, travel trailers, and toy haulers, and keep a huge inventory of new and used RVs in stock for you to choose from. They offer top dollar for your RV trade-in and help you get the RV financing you need. As a part of the GNCC family, Brown's RV Superstore, in partnership with Vengeance Toy Haulers, offers sponsorship packages for every level of racer with discounts and continued savings on your new toy hauler. Brown's RV Superstore has dedicated themselves to complete customer satisfaction, specializing in providing a positive start to your RV adventure. They look forward to customers coming back to share their tales from the road. Call Brown's RV Superstore today at 877-805-3658 or visit their website at brownsrvsuperstore.com, where family fun begins. It was October 24, 2010. New Zealand and Yamaha's Paul Whibley was the defending champion, and Caleb Russell was making his Xc1 Pro Racing debut. Grabbing the hole shot and the early lead in his first time on the front row, Caleb Russell was followed by riders like Paul Whibley in second. Corey Buttrick on board the number 8 in the number 3 position. Also riders like Chris Bach, Thad Duvall, Glenn Kearney, Jimmy Jarrett, and even Ampro Yamaha's Barry Hawk. On lap 1, Yamaha's Whibley was able to track down and pass the young Russell, who would eventually DNF after waterlogging his bike in this tip-over while crossing the creek. Once snagging the lead, Whibbs put his head down and pushed forward, posting a 46-second lead on lap number 1. After a mid-race skirmish with Charlie Mullins, Whibbs dropped back to the number 2 spot at the end of lap number 5 of a 7-lap race. However, by race's end, Paul Whibley had moved his Yamaha into a near 1-minute lead, snagging the Ironman win in 2010. And that's this week in Yamaha history. And that's this week in Yamaha history, Johnny. I thought that was an interesting one, of course, with Caleb Russell and dustiest race I think we've had here in a long, long time in 2010, and he drowned his bike out. But here we are at some 11 years later, and we're watching the Hoosier GNCC in these same fields as we set the stage for what is to come in the fall, obviously. But man, I tell you, I really like racing here in Indiana in the springtime as much as I think I do in the fall time, to be honest with you, Johnny.
Yeah, you know, it really is a different, obviously with all the leaves on the trees, but the dirt is way better than I was expecting. You know, you talked about that, obviously one of the dustiest Ironmans we've ever had many years ago. The dirt here, when there's no moisture in it, obviously anything's going to be dusty and dirty. And actually, we started to talk about this a little bit ago. I heard you and Chuck LeMaster talking during the micro races about how, we think it's going to be dusty. It's ironic how, because the fields are so prepped and they're so susceptible to the elements, the wind, the sun, you know, the fields definitely had some dust to them, but the woods, there isn't a speck of dust anywhere. The woods are actually moist. I won't even say moist, they're muddy in a lot of places. So it's pretty crazy. I mean, it just goes to show how good this Indiana dirt is and how well it holds moisture.
No doubt, and I think giving us a new home in the springtime, to be honest with you, back here at Ironman Raceways. We're watching from our Yamaha live drone here and trying to keep tabs on our leader, Stu Baylor, who appears to still be just tracking through these forests without much problems whatsoever. Out near that 5-mile marker now, Johnny, as he goes by himself, and we expect that to be the case for about another 40 seconds or so before we see the second and third place riders checking in. And still thinking Ben Kelly out front of Lane Michael, but Lane Michael certainly making Ben Kelly work for that second place position to hang on to it. There's no doubt about that.
Absolutely. You know, that is a battle that I don't think we've seen the last of. There is Ben Kelly, there is Lane Michael, and they are still wheel to wheel. So Lane Michael doing a great thing here by latching on to Ben Kelly, who at least for the moment has a little bit faster pace. He's not only keeping himself in a podium position, but you know, it's hard when you're by yourself. It would be easier for him to fall back into the grasp of the fourth place rider, Jordan Ashburn. But if he stays with Ben Kelly, who's on the move right now, it'll keep drawing him up towards the front. Who knows? We could see him back in a battle with Stu Baylor for the lead.
Yeah, it could be a three-way shootout before it's all said and done.
Wouldn't that be a barn burner?
Yeah, no doubt. And I mean, we've got, it's 2 hours and 24 minutes into this race. I think I figure it being right at I'd say a little over 35, 36 more minutes of racing. A lot of things can happen. I mean, we've already seen a lot of things happen. We saw a lot happen in that first half hour that we witnessed here earlier today, and it only, as time goes on, it only lends itself to more exciting things to pop up.
Absolutely. It's been an exciting one from start to finish. It's been an exciting weekend. And, you know, I have to be honest with you, Rodney, I kind of had I wouldn't say reservations, but, you know, obviously this place is so historic, so iconic. You know, I'm thinking coming here in the spring, a different name. Obviously, it's a phenomenal facility. A lot of cool stuff going on. But, you know, is this going to be able to measure up to the hype? And I think it over-delivered.
Right.
In terms of racing action, I mean, spectators, if you go out there, the parking lot just jam-packed full of spectators. I don't know what did we get a final weekend count for riders?
2,100 and some, I believe, is what the number was.
No, stop right there. The way you just said that, 2,100 and something. And but let's put this in perspective. Just a few years ago, that would have been the biggest GNCC of all time. We live in a time where, and I'm sorry to beat this drum, but people talk about, oh, off-road racing is dying, motorcycle racing is dying. Folks, come to a GNCC. 2,100 and some odd riders is just kind of yeah, it wasn't a bad weekend for us. We were pretty happy with the turnout. No kidding, because it was 2,100 racers. This is not people here racing multiple classes.
No.
This is unique entries. 2,100 plus racers this weekend at the inaugural Hoosier. GNCC is booming.
And the greatest off-road racers in the world race here in GNCC. Stu making his way through the pits there as we approach the 2 hour and 27 minute mark, and he's rolling, no doubt about that, and it's got a little bit of lap traffic ahead of him, but don't think that's going to be any or too much of a role in what's taking place right here. But yeah, you're right. And to expand on, you know, earlier in the week, you know, we weren't sure where to be on this. I mean, we kind of, you know, expected normal numbers, kind of like what you expect in round 5 numbers. Normally 5 and 6 numbers are traditionally seem to be down, and they were down as opposed to what the numbers we were seeing at Tiger Run in previous rounds. But for a round number 5, those numbers were way up for a traditional round number 5. Same thing for here. We had no idea what to expect. Knowing coming to the Ironman Raceway, knowing that people like it, will they come out here and race just because it's the Hoosier GNCC? Will they not come because it's not the Ironman? Well, I can tell you right now, it didn't stop the riders and a lot of race fans out here this weekend as well. And I saw a lot of unfamiliar faces, a lot of folks coming, I think, to watch Travis Pastrana and Ryan Sipes ride out here today as well.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, a lot of hype this weekend, and like I said, I think not only did it deliver, it over-delivered. I think it was a great weekend for GNCC Racing. Stu Baylor back into the trees here. We got to see him work his way through the field sections there, and he thinks that, you know, he thinks he's got this one in the bag, and it would be hard to argue against him right now, I think is what's going through his head, because he's got over a 40-second lead with less than about a lap and a half to go here. We've got... they're going to work. Wow, look at how colorful this is. Sorry, I'm going to get a little artsy here, but man,
it is
what
beautiful.
What a beautiful spring shot here.
And here's the thing, Johnny. I mean, it's blossomed even more since yesterday. We could see it a little better down into the trees as opposed to what we can today. I mean, it's amazing how much different the visual aspect through the trees today is compared to what it was just 24 hours ago.
Yeah, absolutely. It's wild. It's you know. Yeah, and now we're watching our Yamaha live drone, and it's a very picturesque view that we don't get to see in racing, but nonetheless, it is pretty. But and
there goes a bike.
Rodney, to answer your question, Liam Draper back there in that third place spot, so it isn't necessarily that he dropped entirely from that battle, but you know he was up there leading. Stu Baylor on screen, man, he just looks like the mud man, just completely covered on that left side, and it seems like most of the camera shots that we get are from that left side. So it's kind of given us the interpretation.
It's his best side.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. Do you think Stu thinks he has a good side?
He thinks all sides are good.
Well, I mean,
he probably thinks his best side is his back.
Yeah.
For people to take a look at while
racer,
he's
exactly.
Yep,
look at this. Jonathan Johnson taking over the lead in that FMF XC3. Chase Colville was leading that one for quite some time. Ben Parsons there in third. So we don't get to see those guys on screen too often. Ben Kelly charging. I do still think that's up in that 30-plus, close to 40-second range, and right behind him, the 5.23 of Lane Michael.
Well, I mean, I just noticing how smooth Ben Kelly was riding coming down off that hill and through this section of the racetrack, and you know how determined and focused he was. And Lane Michael, that same kind of mindset. He was so smooth and wasn't pushing the envelope. They just looked like they were riding well within their comfort zone, but the speed they're carrying is really phenomenal right now.
Looking at that 258 class we talked about, Bubs Tasha was leading that one. Now it's actually JoJo Cunningham is taking over lead.
JoJo was all the way back in third at one point, wasn't he?
It was in second when we checked in earlier.
Okay.
It was Tristan Landrum there in the second place spot. Tristan's still in second, but has moved up to second now. JoJo up to the lead. Bubs Tasha dropped out of the top 10, so something must have happened to Bubs Tasha there.
Man, talking to a lot of people, just to let you know on that is a heated battle going on between those two as far as the competitiveness between JoJo and Bubs. Bub coming out of the New England area and you know, kind of a virtual unknown as far as GNCC is concerned, but boy, he's having a lot of fun from what I'm being told.
Yeah, from what I'm told, Bubs is an interesting character.
Yeah, I've heard too.
He's really enjoying himself, but he's got a lot of talent, a lot of speed, and yeah, there's a lot of heated battles going on in that 258 class. I know Tristan Landrum and JoJo Cunningham, I think, have had words a number of times this season. You know, great competitors on the track, but man, they're really pushing each other, and yeah, heated would be the best word for it. Thad Duvall coming by there, so that is. Wow, he's actually gotten around Jordan Ashburn, so he's up into that, so that would be second, third, so he's actually now up into the fourth place spot. He's taken that fourth place spot away from Jordan Ashburn. Ashburn now drops back to fifth place in that XC1 and overall.
Wow, so little changes taking place here, I guess we could say, as the race is getting late in the day, and you know, honestly, the changes aren't coming as monumentally as what I kind of expected here, as we are approaching just about a half hour or so left of racing action. And I'll be honest, Johnny, you know, this next 30 minutes, there's a number of things can happen. I mean, with the way these guys have been riding today, the levels that they've been pushing, and everybody being so hungry, it almost looks as though most people have reserved a little bit of energy for this last hour push.
I would agree. I think that it seems Stu Baylor definitely has kept something in the tank, and he is now just unleashing it, uncorking it, if you will. Just letting it all out, letting it fly. He's going for it, and he is able to open up that gap, continuing to open up the gap over Ben Kelly and and Lane Michael. But the things that really stand out to me so far, you know, it appears Ben Kelly is just really pushing, you know, knowing he needs to maximize points. He would still leave here with the points lead today, even if if Stu Baylor is able to grab the win and Ben is second, he would still carry would be a 5-point lead out of here, as he's got 10 now, I believe you said. So that would be oh, and here we see it appears that Stu Baylor is where. Oh, Stu Baylor actually goes down.
Oh, it's down. Yeah, okay.
So he washed the front end there in that turn, lost a little bit of time. Nothing too alarming when you got a 45-second lead, but you don't want to start having too many of those. Nope. They can add up, and that can chip away at your gap. But Thad Duvall, another rider I think that definitely worth mentioning. His effort today, he's kind of just slowly, methodically worked his way up. Not that he was ever far out of it, but he kind of kept himself in the fight, and he is now up to 4th place. 2nd place at the season opener. Oh, there is Ben Kelly right there. That is not 40 seconds anymore.
No, that's more in the range of 20-some seconds. So this will be interesting. See what the gap may be at little mistakes like that. You know, we might start seeing those compound on Stu Baylor, especially if he gets a pit board that gap is starting to shrink.
Yeah, Lane Michaels still close. So they're at the this is the 9-mile marker. So they're going to be coming about another 2 miles until they see a white flag waving from Ricky Towery. And I'll tell you what, likely will be a welcome sight for Stu Baylor, seeming as though, you know, Rodney.
Wow. 18 seconds is what we've just got confirmed from our spotters in the woods, Johnny. Wow.
18 seconds.
That
gap got cut in half.
Yeah. Something, either Stu slowed down or he's had more of those little bobbles or something. Yeah. And you know, like our producer.
If you guys could hear what our producer's saying right now.
Well, I'll just go ahead and spill the beans. Not to jinx Stu, but, you know, think about the highlights from last year here at Ironman. You know, you talked about the ghost that Ben Kelly experienced. There was some sort of goblin or something, I think, that was playing havoc with Stu Baylor here last year, looking for all those wins as we take a look back at the 2020 Ironman GNCC. And here is, well, Thad Duvall getting off to a great start, it looks like. Of course, Caleb Russell and some of his closing moments as a GNCC racer out there with us. And obviously, Stu Baylor having another phenomenal ride day here, leading the entire field, working his way up to the front of the pack. But, you know, as this race day wore on, it really, well, we had a lot of those alterations. I remember that now. I remember Caleb going down there and, you know, having to make some adjustments and things on his machine. So that kind of just like opened the way up for Stu and eventually Josh Strang to lock handlebars there, if memory serves me correct. And when we get to this point right here, Stu Baylor trying to track Josh Strang back down. And there it is. The gremlins, the goblins, whatever you want to call them, really throwing the monkey wrench into that one. He just threw his bike back down, slides down like he's on a slicky slide.
And I remember Stu in the interview after the race talking about that. He said he just made a little mistake there at the base of the hill, buried the front end just a little bit, and he knew right in that moment. He said, well, I still got to go for it, because if I back off and let the race, you know, let it come back to me, I'm going to come up short, so I got to just go for it. And he did not make the hill, and that was the day right there. Josh Strang grabbing the win. Josh Strang kind of getting the gremlins today. Where's it? If we check in with Josh Strang, looks like he's back up to 16th place in the overall. So he's now back up to making 5 points on the day. Surely not where he wants to be. But, man, hats off to Strang. It seems like he is just constantly in a hole here at this point in the season in 2021, and he just keeps digging and trying to get himself out.
No doubt. And we are certainly bearing witness to that. And I'm telling you, folks, if you're a race fan, you follow this. This has certainly been a great storied season already. There's a lot of factors and a lot of great things. Not that seasons before haven't held a lot of value and a lot of historical moments, but, you know, the newness of what we got going on in this new era, Johnny, there's just a different kind of excitement in the air, I think, right now.
Yeah, excitement in the air, excitement on the track. Stu Baylor coming around this corner with excitement to see a white flag. But we're excited to see what the gap is, because Ben Kelly is on the charge. Stu Baylor, you know, is just absolutely going to stretch out the throttle cable on that Ampro Yamaha, and he's going to give it everything he's got to try and stretch it out over this guy right here. Ben Kelly, the 530 machine, is in pursuit, and Rodney, give us the gap.
Well, I've got to wait for you.
All right, Rodney, I'll check the gap. We were having some scoring issues here. We'll see if we can get an update on exactly what the gap is as they come in and complete lap number 7.
Yeah, one more to go. An 8-lap race. It may not be full 8 laps, but I know these guys are feeling it right now. 16 seconds now. So, Johnny, it's tightening up even more. So, yeah, I don't know. Lap traffic, small mistakes, maybe a little faster.
16.946 to be exact. So he's, you know, I mean, he is just pushing for all he's worth, trying to reel in Stu. And you could tell by the way Stu was riding. He's pushed for all he can worth, try and get away.
Stu did the early push in the early part of the race, and remember he did the waited an extra lap to do the pit stop, but also Ben Kelly stopping on the 1 lap so that right there might have been something that really helped out that program. So good pitting strategy today, maybe paying dividends for both teams whenever you look at the big picture. So waiting right now at this finish line for more riders to check in to try to sort this out. Remember, we had some changes going on again on lap number 7 out here, and from lap number 6, and that's what we'll be waiting to see happen. Trying to see how things are going for Thad Duvall and the rest of the field. Also Jordan Ashburn, Trevor Bollinger, Grant Baylor. How kind of time is he able to make up? What's going on with Ricky Russell?
Thad Duvall checks in that 4th place spot. So we do know, we saw on track that he had made his way around Jordan Ashburn into 4th. And again, this is a kind of just ride to kind of bring the fire back for Thad Duvall. He had the wind really taken out of his sails with that injury after his 2nd place finish at round 1, and then had actually another couple crashes as he was trying to come back. Lined up last race, had a fuel line problem very, very early in lap 1, so we really never got to see what Thad Duvall was capable of, but today he's showing it. I mean, to be in 4th place and pushing not far out of a podium position, getting around this guy right here who's been rock solid in 2021, Jordan Ashburn. What I'm curious to see as we see Stu Baylor on screen here is Trevor Bollinger was about a minute back of Thad Duvall. Does he have anything in the tank to possibly get up there and battle with Jordan Ashburn over that now 5th place position? Ben Kelly, that's not 16 seconds. I think Ben Kelly is making ground.
It was right around that 16 seconds. It wasn't much different in 16 seconds. Stu came through on the 36, and it wasn't quite 20 seconds. It was more around that 15, 16 seconds.
It's wild how fast 16 seconds goes by, especially when the camera turns, but it takes longer to get across that field than you think it is. So.
Yeah, so that's about what I had figured too. So Adam Gordon said it's right around that 17 seconds, and that's about what I had it sorted out as well. I know when you're sitting here, you're waiting. Sometimes 16 seconds can seem so fast, and sometimes 16 seconds can seem so long. It's all relevant, I guess, but with the anticipation that we're waiting with, and what we've seen going on so far today, these guys coming back and showing into the camera shot so quickly is what gets us so excited.
Rodney, we got to do this. Predictions.
Okay.
We're down to the final lap. Stu Baylor's got a 17 second gap over Ben Kelly. Lane Michael still right back there, just another 10 or so seconds behind. So we got 3 riders within less than 30 seconds. Last lap. It's a battle. It's a brawl. Who's going to get the job done? Who's going to take the win today?
Well, I go to look at lap times and, start thinking about this. I see a 25:27 lap time for Stu Baylor. Nearly 30 seconds faster that last time around was Ben Kelly as he turned a 24:59. So just 2 seconds, 28 seconds faster on that one. Obviously, he's got some great momentum on his side. And logic would tell you maybe bet on Ben Kelly, and knowing what kind of sense of urgency he may have to try to keep Stu from chipping away at that points lead even more. Logic might tell you to pick Ben Kelly, but I still have to go with the heart. I still have to go with the man that has controlled the pace of this race since the drop of the green flag, basically, Stu Baylor.
Stu Baylor has controlled the race the last 4 races, in my opinion. Josh Strang gave him a very, very, very real run at Camp Coker up through even the final turns. Jordan Ashburn on screen. We did see Thad Duvall check in that number 4 spot. He did come by. We're here at the 2-mile marker, and we've got Stu Baylor on screen absolutely pushing for all he's worth. He's not leaving any fractions of a second out there for chance. He's giving it everything he's got. We'll see where Ben Kelly is as they come through to check in.
All right, we've hit 15 seconds now, so looks like we're getting closer to that 20-second range, so it looks like Stu might be starting to stretch it back out, Johnny.
Yep, we're up 19, right at about 20 seconds on the money is what I got. So it's that 16 turned into 17, turned into 20. So he's in there. They're both pulling out just a little bit over this guy right here, Lane Michael, the 523 Ampro Yamaha. Still a phenomenal ride for Lane. Absolutely, you know, and Lane's one of those guys, if he ends up in third place today, he's not going to be happy with it. But I think he should be ecstatic because this is a phenomenal ride, getting him right up in there in that discussion for a guy that can win races. He's proven it. He's been there all day, and he's been riding very, very, very well.
Yeah, I know Lane's one of those guys that, you know, wants to win, but right now I think a third place would be a win in his program, and especially whenever you just yeah, this is as good as a win, and I think that's the way he should take it as well. But yeah, you always want more, especially if you're going to want to be better, and that's exactly what Lane wants to be. 22 seconds, Johnny, is what we're hearing is the gap between that first and second place position. So Stu Baylor is starting to open things up out here. The big question is, will he be able to continue to do so? Can Ben Kelly bridge that gap like he did on lap number 7? What will lap number 8 state? We'll have to wait to see. Lane Michael still hanging on the third. Can he do that? That and so many more questions. Only a little bit of time to get them answered in. Stick around to find out. GNCC Live continues right after this.
The Yamaha GNCC University returns, calling all ATV and motorcycle off-road racers. Are you looking to hone your riding and racing skills? Want to learn hands-on with the best of the best past and current GNCC racers and champions? Then sign up for the 2021 Yamaha GNCC University, returning to Snowshoe Mountain Resort June 23rd through the 25th. We're bringing together Yamaha's ATV and motorcycle racing elite to instruct in-depth courses and fundamentals of racing and riding. During the Yamaha GNCC University, students will participate in lectures about sportsmanship, training, proper nutrition, and mental preparation, along with hands-on skills and drills designed to improve your riding and confidence in a variety of terrain and situations. Reservations are on a first-come, first-served basis, with limited openings evenly split between the disciplines. For more details and to register, contact Snowshoe Mountain Resort at 877-441-4386.
Hi, how are you? I'm Brian from AMSOIL. Been a dealer for AMSOIL for the past 3 years or so. I've been around motorcycles all my life. And we've always run Dominator 2-stroke synthetic oil. The Dominator 2-stroke is a full synthetic oil. It burns very clean. It helps keep the engine running cooler. It provides outstanding wear protection for your pistons, rings, valves. So it really does keep the engine clean internally, keeps carbon buildup from forming in your head. So it will help your performance and longevity. We've got product here at GNCC, at Ironman, and feel free to come by and say hi to us.
This Racer TV broadcast is brought to you by Specialized Turbo e-bikes. It's you, only faster. And by Rocky Mountain ATV MC. Get ready. And welcome back to the Ironman Raceway for the Hoosier GNCC round number 6 of the Grand National Cross Country Championship inaugural running here in 2021. And I'll tell you folks, this morning we had a great chance to commemorate a hero, as well as say hello to Travis and Ryan, but Mr. Scaretti there was able to be our moto hero, so we want to say congratulations to him. He received not only great recognition from fellow racers, but a new set of Canati tires valued at over $1,000, $250 from AMSOIL, a new American flag from the Columbia's flag company, and seems like goggles from 100% Goggles, and just a whole lot of great cool stuff. So thanks to Ben there.
Absolutely. And on behalf of Canati Tires and GBC, we're incredibly proud to be a part of that program and offering a free set of truck tires, as you said, valued up to $1,500 for each and every GNCC round. We do the Moto Heroes program. I know AMSOIL joins in there, 100% goggles, giving away some product as well. That's something we take very seriously. We're proud to be a part of, and very happy to see GNCC doing that, because these guys are the guys that fight for our freedom and allow us the opportunity to do what we love to do week in and week out.
Amen. No doubt about it. And past and present heroes is what we look for as far as Moto Heroes are concerned. Thank you, Dan.
I think we have Stu Baylor on screen. By the way he went through that rock section there, this guy is absolutely on the hammer, and it is Stu Baylor, the 514 machine from Hodges, South Carolina, that Ampro Yamaha, out there just charging, pushing, giving it everything, absolutely twisting the grip off the right side of that throttle on that thing, because he knows behind him Ben Kelly, Lane Michael, absolutely not going to give up anything. They're going to push him all the way to the finish in this one, but right now Stu Baylor's pace appears to be faster than the guys behind him, and he's opening up that gap. They had it down to 16 seconds. Last we got, the official timing was that it was 22, so he'd stretched it back out about another 6 seconds over the duo behind him, and those guys, now it looks like Ben Kelly's opened up just a few seconds over Lane Michael, so that is the podium battle as they run, and we see again these beautiful spring colors here in Crawfordsville, Indiana. A windy day here. The winds are blowing, so everybody out there, I hope you have your easy up stake down, because we can see these trees are just moving. And I got to tell you, Rodney, we've raced in a lot of conditions, but yesterday when we were out, there's Stu Baylor on screen, the 514, got some lap traffic in the way. You can see him doing the chicken wing, revving that bike up, saying, hey boys, coming through. And we'll see as we pan to the left here, we may see within a few seconds, we might see the 530 of Ben Kelly, but it appears that Stu has maybe opened it up even more. There is Ben Kelly. That's the 530 machine on the charge, on the hammer, doing all that he can do, but he is running out of real estate, and it's happening fast.
Well, I'll tell you real quick, as we look at the XC250 Pro Class, Mike Witkowski, Johnny Gerard, 1.088 seconds separating them as they checked in with lap number 7 complete a few moments ago. Liam Draper, 2 minutes and 27 seconds back in third. Cody Barnes in fourth, and still waiting on that 5th place ride in XC250 Pro. So a tight one going on there between Witkowski at 26.05 for him, Johnny Gerard at 26.03. Those two have been going at it pretty stiffly for the last couple of laps, and they have stuck together, pushing each other to extreme limits, I'm quite sure.
Yeah, the pace is being pushed, but right now what Stu Baylor's putting down, no one seems to have a match for. Ben Kelly did all that he can do to get that gap down into the teens from being up into the 40s, and now Stu Baylor stretching it back out again. And, I got to tell you, Rodney, I just feel like this is Stu Baylor really not so much even just trying to win this race. Obviously, that's the goal for right now, for the today. But in the grander scheme of things, that points lead, he's going to make up 5 more points today. But bigger than anything, we always talk about momentum. Momentum is huge. Stu Baylor winning 3 in a row. If he can close this one out today, that means 4 in a row. Ben Kelly will have been stifled for wins for 4 races in a row. Last winning at round 2 in Florida. His only win this season at round 2 in Florida. And, if you're Stu Baylor, what better way to put some doubt, some self-doubt, some questions into your competition's head than to just go out, win, but not only win, when they throw an attack at you, you throw launch a counter attack, and you're able to pull it back out. I mean, it's mentally just devastating.
No doubt, and especially the way that Ben has been riding. He did have a couple of seconds behind those 3 wins of Stu's, but the 6th place finish is what kind of really closed that gap up so quickly there just a couple of races ago. So I believe it was at Coker, if memory serves me correct. But regardless, the 6th place finish is really what helped close this gap up, and then it's chipping away at it like this. That's going to put Stu into that position that he's hoping to be in. And like you said, a 10-point lead coming into this day. 5 more points chipped away. It's just 1 more race win away in a second for Ben Kelly, and that championship is in a deadlock tie. So like Stu has stated there, the hard work of winning this championship is done. It's right now a matter of managing and putting himself in control, and once he gets there, staying in total control.
Absolutely, you know, and he's just putting right at this point now. You know, he knows the gap. He's just hitting his marks, doing what he needs to do. It's this is from here. It's kind of almost a formality as far as the track goes. There's really nothing challenging. We got one little creek crossing, and aside from that, it's just kind of some fields. But it's not anything that should throw a monkey wrench into Stu Baylor's plans of getting his 4th straight win. Oh, although he blows that dust perm apart real hard.
Having a little bit of fun out there. Maybe he's not sure how far or how close the competition is coming in from. But regardless, man, good racing going all around. You know, we were talking about the Xc3 class, the FMF Xc3 class a little bit ago, and the possibilities looming there, Johnny, of a new winner. If Chase Colville can keep that pace up front, and that's going to be another class that I think we're going to be keeping an eye on, because Jonathan Johnson has basically dominated this in this entire championship series. And as they checked in at the end of lap number 7, 1/2 second separated Colville and Johnson when they went through. So 1 lap to go for those guys, and a 1/2 second. Wow.
Yeah, you know, Jonathan Johnson, one of the few riders left with a perfect season. So he needs to keep that going if he wants to be able to hang his hat on that. And I know he's talked a lot about, you know, a lot of the effort that went into that program, that team this year with that Magna One Motorsports. He said he just feels real comfy with those guys, feels like he has a great team behind him, and it's allowing him to perform at the level he feels he can to continue to be undefeated. Will Chase Colville want to throw his name in the ring there and say, hey, I'm a guy that can win races here in this Xc3 class. We know he can get hole shots, tons of hole shots, but he's definitely wanting to get up there and grab that first win.
Yeah, he's kind of a product of the great Eddie LoJack, 9-time GNCC champion, rides out of the LoJack Cycle Shop up there out of Tarentum, Pennsylvania. And, you know, it's good to see Eddie back out at the track, and they're out there with Yamaha bicycles and different things like that. And, you know, obviously in support of the shop back home. But, yeah, good to see Big Ed out here still into it. His boy, Eddie LoJack Jr., Elo as we like to call him, out there as well. You know, it's a family thing, still running deep. For a long time ago champion with a 9-time GNCC champion.
Absolutely, you know, Ed.
Wow, 28 seconds. Sorry to step on you there, Johnny. 28 seconds between first and second place, according to reports we're getting off the racetrack right now.
Yeah, 28 seconds, and that just goes to show the effort that Stu is putting in right now, throwing everything he has at it, and just not leaving anything to chance. You know, there's lappers. You know, there's all kinds of things that can go wrong. I mean, we saw him lose 20 seconds in just a couple of miles, so he just wants to pad that lead as much as he possibly can. And you know, Ben Kelly's not out there just cruising around settling for second, so that really speaks volumes about just how hard Stu Baylor's pushing, just how fast he's going to continue to open up that gap.
Yeah, no doubt. And, you know, Stu's really, I mean, even though the last lap or two he's been kind of riding by himself, I mean, he's kind of had pressure all day long. When you look back at this one, I mean, Lane Michael basically, since he got out front, Lane Michael has been right there with him. I mean, Lane was out front at first, you know what I'm saying? And so he wanted that back. So he was fighting with a vengeance and fury to try to regain that position back. And while doing that, I think, you know, he even his best ride ever in GNCC racing here today because of the confidence level that he's soaring from just 2 weeks ago. And now I can only imagine what that's going to bring to us when we go to Ohio.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, confidence is key. We talk about momentum, we talk about confidence, and all these things in athletics and sports and in business even. You know, once you realize you're capable of doing something, it gives you that confidence to pour even more heart and soul into it and really solidify yourself as a contender for wins, as a contender for championships. And you know, in the case of these guys, just kind of letting your competition know, hey, I'm here and I'm not going anywhere, so you better get used to racing me.
Well, we're about 6 minutes or so, I believe, from seeing our leaders check in, or at least expected time to see those leaders check in, or your leader, Stu Baylor, check in. There was about 22 seconds, I believe, or 28 seconds now, back to the number 2 spot. So as that gap opens, we still continue to expect to see Stu in about the same exact time. So, like I said, right around 6 minutes. So if you're wanting to congratulate Stu and the rest of the crew that comes through at the finish line, you better hurry, because they are coming very, very quickly towards those checkers. And the end of this race day and the end of the Hoosier GNCC here in the great state of Indiana for the first of 2 stops.
There is Thad Duvall coming by there at mile marker 8, so that is your 4th place rider. So the top 3 have already checked in here at the FMF PowerPoint. Stu Baylor still leading the way. Ben Kelly 2nd, Lane Michael 3rd, and Thad Duvall again. A great ride for him. I mean, this really has to make him, you know, kind of put a smile on his face. Surely the podium or even a win was the goal today. But whoa, those, we were talking earlier about those braking bumps on those downhills, and that's exactly it. I was out there this morning. Saw a lot of riders go down on those downhills yesterday when I was out there racing, and then this morning during the 10 a.m. race, man, they were cartwheeling down the hills like crazy because the ground's so soft, the dirt's so good, it just creates these big pockets on the downhills from guys hitting their brakes. And if you're not ready for it, you come over the top carrying too much speed, you try to get it on your brakes, it's too late. You almost got to ride it like a Supercross whoop section and blitz the downhill. And I had to do that myself a couple times yesterday. Jordan Ashburn, there he is, 5th place. So now the top 5 have checked through at the FMF PowerPoint, mile marker 8 on the final lap of racing here at the inaugural GNCC at the Hoosier. And here we see on screen not one of our leaders. There he is, Stu Baylor, the 514. Rodney, riding the ride that dreams are made of.
Amen on that one, man. I tell you, Stu has been on a ride that dreams were made of since, well, Boy Scout, or the Scout Camp, I should say, last year when we returned back from the break. That's when the ride began for Stu Baylor, and it ain't stopped yet.
Well, there was a little derailment of the train, rounds 1 and 2 this year.
Yeah.
Obviously was sitting out round 1 after that puncture wound and was on some antibiotics, and then round 2 had some clutch issues, took him out while he was battling for a top position, ultimately dropping back, finishing 14th place in that race. But since then, man, the choo-choo train that is Stu Baylor has been full steam ahead.
The Stu train?
The Stu train. Ben Kelly, solid ride here today in 2nd. He's got to close it out. Still, again, can't go giving trophies away. Anything could happen, but it's looking like a solid 2nd place performance for Ben Kelly today. But I know right now this is not what Ben Kelly came here wanting to accomplish. He's not going to be okay with this, and I think his team, you know, as well, they've made it very clear that with Caleb Russell's departure from GNCC Racing, Ben Kelly is you know, obviously Josh Toth, another horse of theirs, but Ben Kelly, as things stand right now, is kind of their lead horse. He's the one that's in charge of putting that brand in the center of the box. On the box is like a bad day. If you're in the center, that's a good day, and they want to have good days.
Less than 3 minutes now in anticipation of the checker flag flying here at the Hoosier GNCC. And yes, talking about pressure, that's for sure. KTM certainly expects a lot, and the thing about it is Ben Kelly expects a lot of himself. That's why he's a part of that program right now. As we saw Lane Michael going by, still solidly in that 3rd place position, but I believe we may be seeing some action coming in from Thad Duvall. Oh no, minute 25. I thought it said 25.
That was actually, I believe that was Grant Davis that was coming by that they were cheering for there. So that is one of our top riders in that 4-stroke light.
I was looking at the difference, and I saw 25, but it's actually a minute 25 back to that. So I was expecting maybe it to be a little bit closer, but more like 25 seconds. But anyway, sorry about that. Got a little excited there for a minute.
Nothing wrong with that. Got to get excited for racing, man.
Oh, yeah.
It's been good battles out there all day. It's been good battles all season. But Stu Baylor, at least so far, 3 hours, 29 minutes into this, or 3 hours, 29 seconds into this one. We're not going to run 3.5 hours, boy. We're not going to make you do one more. But Stu Baylor proven to be the class of the field thus far. Ben Kelly threw everything he had at him late in this one, and so far has not been able to make it stick. Every move he made, Stu Baylor had an answer for. Lane Michael, solid through this one. Absolutely just right there in a podium position. Battled for the lead throughout much of the day. There is Thad Duvall, and that's a rider, definitely another rider that needs to be talked about. It mandates that we talk about him. 4th place finish after what he's been through here recently with his injuries, with the heartbreak, with, you know, a lot of people saying, hey, this is Thad's year, this is championship season, having to essentially sit by and watch riders out there on the track racing, you know, getting wins that he felt he should be battling for. And this is a very, very, very strong ride for him to interject himself into that conversation for, hey, how many guys we got out here that can win races? Not that we ever doubted that, but this solidifies it.
Less than 1 minute away from anticipated checkers flying here. That's what timing and scoring is telling us right now on anticipated arrival time there at the finish line. Now, it could be a little sooner, it could be a little later, but regardless, it is coming up, and it is coming up very soon. And as far as we know, it is still Stu Baylor on point, on board the number 514 as he makes the drive strive for his 4th consecutive win here in the 2021 season.
XC2 battle, or XC2 possibly leader on screen. There is Johnny Gerard. There is Mike Witkowski. So there it is. That's the battle for the XC2 win at the 8-mile marker. Here is Stu Baylor coming across the finish line.
Look at that. Slowly going across the finish line. Watch this. Stu Baylor takes the Hoosier GNCC win. His 4th win in a row in this 2021 season.
Did you see him look at the crowd and he waited for their reaction?
Oh, yeah.
Because he got a lot of flack at a couple of the races here because he just, well, not a couple, the last race, he just came across the line. No loop out, no fanfare, and he took some flack on social media, so this time he said, nah, you guys are going to get a loop out. Here it comes.
I tell you what, a crowd here in Indiana, man. I mean, it started out great this weekend, and it is ending on another high note as Stu Baylor makes his way in, makes his statement, and puts another explanation point on the fact that he wants to be a GNCC champion. And when you ride like he rode today, that right there is proof positive that that's what you're gunning for, that's what you're looking for, that's what you're hoping for. And I'll tell you, with the great guidance of Ampro Yamaha, Donnie Luce over there at Yamaha Racing, and making him hold off on that first round of racing, and accepting the fact that he had some struggles in round number 2, you know, knowing that he still had time to make things up. There's been Kelly checking in that number 2 position now. Does not look a bit happy. You can see the sense of deflatement out in him. He was really hoping for this win today, and I'm sure at one point, he almost felt it coming, especially when it was within 15 seconds.
Yeah, definitely a great effort for him, and you can tell, judging by his body posture there, I mean, he gave it everything. He's depleted, he's done, he's spent, you know, and that's a true champion. I mean, he gave it everything he had. He left nothing on the track. Sure, he's disappointed, but he'll go home. He'll keep working. This is a young man that is still very young in his GNCC career, and as much pressure is put on him by us, by the team, by himself, that he needs to be out there winning. Stu Baylor is I mean, he's been at this a long time, and look how long it's taken him to get to this point where he can do this consistently. So Ben Kelly, nothing to hang your head about. Lane Michael, there he is in the background, 3rd place ride on the day. Awesome ride for Lane Michael. The Ampro teammates, Ampro Yamaha teammates go 1 and 3. Stu Baylor taking the win, Lane Michael in 3rd, and you know, that's got to be a happy crew right there. Those guys, we talked about it earlier. You can't ask for any better than 1 and 2. Well, they were pretty close, 1 and 3.
Exactly, and for Lane Michael to back up the ride that he had a couple of weeks ago, the consistency that he's shown here today, the longevity that he showed, the endurance that we saw him be able to muster up there, he's definitely on the right track, and he's on track for some wins coming up soon himself, I'm sure, but he's going to have to go through this guy right here, I think, to make it happen. We're talking about Stu Baylor, who is with Mikey Waynes down at the finish line.
Yeah, thanks, Rodney. Yeah, down here with the man, Stu Baylor. I'm not going to say anything else, man. 4 in a row. Tell us about it.
Yeah, it was really good. I got a pretty good start. I think 4th place again, and we got in the woods, made some really quick passes to go right to the lead within the first mile, and made a mistake, and Lane got by, and Lane was riding really well, and I was okay with following him. He was really rolling. We were carrying a phenomenal pace there for a bit, and just from there, we kind of separated ourselves for quite a while, and one lap, we just had one lap with the lappers where both of us really struggled. I know we both got stuck in a mud hole. We went from 40 seconds up to 7 seconds up on, I think, Kelly and Ricky Russell, I think, was what the pit boards were saying. So we lost a lot of time there, and it sounded like Lane got hung up one more time, and I separated myself, and I was able to, I knew Kelly was coming. I was able to put a pretty good heater down, I think 3 to go, and then with 2 to go, I don't even know what happened, man. I just had, we had a really big crash that lap with 4 to go. I think our pit lap, I had a massive crash, and Lane got by, but yeah, there at the end, I just put my head down. I made a lot of mistakes. I think I got cleaned by 3 lappers in 1 lap, and then fell on my own once. So I was really struggling, and I think I was down to 7-second lead there going in the last lap, and I knew I just had to focus, nail my marks, and that's what we did. And I think by the time we came to the finish, going on the white flag, we had 17, and kept the head down, nailing my marks, and pulled out a good enough lead there at the end to just ride my own race and take home another one.
All right, next question. Have you done the math yet?
Absolutely.
Where are you sitting?
5 points.
All right, there you go. There's your winner here today.
Right? That's what I have on the pit board.
Your winner here today of the GNCC, Stu Baylor.
5 points. Of course he's done the math. Well, you know, something that surprises me and amazes me as much as anything, Johnny, is it seems that Stu knows where everybody is at all times. I mean, whether or not that's an illusion that he is, you know, making us perceive, or whether it's the truth. But, I mean, he was stating numbers that we were talking about there. So, obviously, he knows what's going on there as well. That's impressive, I think.
Again, that comes with the experience. You know, he knows. I guess the best way to put it is when you've done something like this or anything long enough, you know, you've made mistakes, you've lost track of guys that you needed to keep track of, or you focused on other guys when you should have been focusing on yourself, or whatever it may be. And Stu Baylor's been very vocal about the fact that in his losses and in his struggles, he's learned what Caleb Russell was able to do so well over all those years of championships, and he's kind of trying to put that all into play right now, and so far doing a darn good job of it in 2021.
Second place, Ben Kelly down in the pits right now with Mikey Waynes.
Thanks, Rodney. Yeah, down here, Ben Kelly getting rehydrated, man. Talk to us about today's race, a second place finish after a rough start for you. You got to be feeling pretty good about this one, though.
Yeah, you know, I'm happy with my ride. I obviously want to win and beat Stu really bad, but he outsmarted me again. On the start, I was decent. I was right behind him, but it was sloppy from where they watered it, and I got roosted there and went to pull a tear off, and I got pinched off by Ricky, and then Ricky and someone else, so I kind of was back in like 7th or so, and was kind of right there in the freight train trying to make moves, and yeah, I was doing that, got around Grant and stuff, but hit neutral in the pits, getting a drink bottle and string got by me, so had to work to get by him. I had to work to get by a handful of guys, and by the time I did that, got into 3rd, I was down like 45 seconds, but charged the whole race there in the middle and got lane, got into 2nd, and I was catching Stu, catching him, but yeah, he was able to take a break there in the middle and then charge those last 2 laps. But I was dead, as you can hear. Gave it my all, and that's all I can ask for.
That's all you can ask for. Solid ride today. We'll take it back to you guys. There's your second place finisher, Ben Kelly.
Thanks.
Well, Ben Kelly picking up the number 2 spot here today in a valiant effort, man. I tell you, he was closing the gap, but like we kind of stated there, it almost looked like Stu Baylor was still commanding control of that race. And like you said, Johnny, basically the last 4 races that he's been participating in. And wow, what a wrap up to that one. So congratulations to Ben on a second place position. I know it's a tough pill to swallow, but again, you got to look at the big picture. There is a silver lining to the cloud, man. It could have been a lot worse.
Yeah, and he's still the points leader. So it's a 5-point lead going into round 7, and yeah, I mean, definitely not the finish he was hoping for. Looks like that Xc2 battle just came in. Not sure exactly who finished where, but they both don't know if they know. They just crossed the line. They were kind of looking at each other. I would like to see that one on camera, see just how close it was, or if we can get a split there, because it may have been. We got Lane Michael. Looks like Mikey Waynes is ready for him, so hopefully when we come back from this, we'll have an answer for you. Who won that Xc2 battle?
I'm thinking, guys, to give you the heads up on that. Johnny Gerard got him, right? Johnny Gerard, there you go. There's your answer. Johnny Gerard finished right in front of Mike Wachowski there. Hey, we're down here with 3rd place finisher Lane Michael. Lane, man, amazing ride today. Flirting with the lead, having the lead at some points. This was a great ride for you.
Yeah, it was awesome. You know, I got out to a great start, and you know, put myself in the lead, and Stu got around me, and yeah, we were kind of going back and forth. I felt like he had some better lines than I had some better lines, and every time I got out front, man, I just I didn't feel comfortable. It just seemed like when I tried to push to, you know, get a gap, Stu had a pretty gnarly crash in front of me, and I tried to sprint to kind of get a gap, but man, I wasn't comfortable. It seemed like every time I tried to push, I just would make mistakes. So just had to ride within myself, and then you know, Stu kind of got away from me, and then Ben caught me, and I was trying to hold him off, and yeah, he got around me, and I just tried to latch on to him. I did pretty good. I hung with him for a lap, and then he kind of got me on the last lap. But man, this was a huge step for me. You know, how the season started, I had high expectations to kind of be here, and I wasn't. So that was pretty frustrating. But you know, I kept trying to keep my head held high and, you know, keep pushing forward. I never gave up, and man, it feels good to get a third. I mean, obviously I still want to, you know, keep working forward, but yeah, this feels good.
Talk about the confidence booster this is going to give you going forward. You've said it yourself. You know that you're there, but it's completing that 3-hour race. You got a taste of that lead today. How much confidence do you have now heading a couple weeks here into the John Patton?
Yeah, it's good. I mean, like I said, being up front, you know, a huge advantage. When you get buried in the pack and, you know, the front couple guys get away, it's, you know, really hard to, you know, catch up. I know Ben did it today, but yeah, I don't know. We just need to keep getting good starts, put ourselves in good positions, stay off the ground. That's what I did today. I had one mistake, and that's when I kind of lost Stu. So, yeah, just keep working forward, keep doing what we're doing. It's working, and yeah, just can't wait to try to keep this momentum going.
It's working today. There you go, your third place finisher, Lane Michael.
All righty, I tell you, from the best ride basically he's had, at least in a long time in GNCC there, from that 5th place position a couple of weeks ago to 3rd, which, again, man, just keeps climbing that ladder to right towards where he wants to be. And, you know, he mentioned, you know, that's where he wanted to be at the beginning of the season. And even though it took him a little longer, it is a refreshing place to finally be. There's no doubt about it. And look at that guy right there. Talk about gloves off and a slugfest today, man, between he and Mike Witkowski. Those guys going back and forth, and Johnny Gerard certainly earning this one today, I think. Not that all wins aren't earned by no stretch of the imagination, Johnny, but man, this one had to be worked for. There's no doubt about it. And he's down with Mikey Waynes right now as they set the stage and get ready to tell the tale of what happened here in the Xc2 250 Pro class.
That one's hot. That one's hot. Well, Johnny Gerard, man, it's 4 in a row, but man, Mike Witkowski putting the heat on you down to the wire in this one.
Yeah, for sure. I had to work hard for that one. Mike was riding really good today and smooth, and it's hard to compete with smooth and fast, and we had a hell of a battle all race. He ended up sliding out that last lap, and I knew I had to sprint right and then and there. He caught back up to me and pushed me through the finish line. It was a heater all the way to the finish line.
Well, Johnny, big congratulations to you, man. Confidence got to be high. Are you still, is the mindset still, I want to go out and win every round? I mean, you got a good points lead now. Is it, I just got to finish in front of Witkowski, in front of DeLong, in front of Draper, and maintain this thing?
No, I want to win, so I'm going out there to win every time and play it smart and try to charge that last hour. So I want to win, and that's what we're here for.
We knew the answer was obvious. We knew what it'd be. 5 in a row for Johnny Gerard. Back to you guys.
5 in a row. That's pretty spectacular stuff there whenever you start looking at the big picture. And speaking of big pictures, look there. There is Stu Baylor, Donnie Luce, Randy Hawkins, and Lane Michael all in one shot right now, Johnny Gavin.
Yeah, Mike Witkowski there in the foreground with his team as well. So a good day for the Blue Crew. Obviously, Mike Witkowski very, very, very nearly grabbing the win in that XC2 class. Johnny Gerard making it 5 in a row. I got to tell you, man, 5 in a row. Those are the kind of numbers that really start putting fear into the hearts of your competitors.
Rides like what we've seen him put forth, rides like what we just saw Stu Baylor putting forth. It most certainly does. And you know, I haven't checked yet, but have you been able to see whether or not the FMF XC3 125 Pro Am class is checked in?
They have not checked in as of yet. Last I saw, only the top 11 overall were checked in. We'll give it another check here quick and see if, just real quick, we'll see who's checked in, because they should be coming just about any minute now.
All right, well, let's head down. It sounds like Mikey Waynes might have Mike Witkowski ready to go right now.
Yeah, guys, down here with Mike Witkowski. Mike, we know you want that W. That was an absolute dogfight down to the wire with Johnny Gerard.
Yeah, no, definitely. It was definitely a really good race for me after 2 really bad races, so I'm really happy. Definitely think I could have won that one. I crashed the last lap, and Johnny got around me. And then I did a good push at the end to try to catch him and see if he could make a mistake, but he was riding really good, and I tried so hard, but just fell short today. But I'll be back, and just really happy with the progress we made, and we'll be back at Ohio for sure.
Good to see you back on the podium here today. There you go, your 2nd place finisher, Mike Witkowski.
All righty, congratulations, Mike Witkowski. Good to see some good rides out of him today, as well as looks like
Rodney, as we're checking in, looks like the top 13 overall have checked in. Josh Strang, 12th overall.
Wow.
So great comeback for him. Surely not where he wanted to be, but a whole lot more points than he would have got.
No doubt. And speaking of points and how the results are, so congratulations to Josh on 12th overall. 10 of the 11 ahead of him included Stu Baylor, Ben Kelly, Lane, Michael Thadderball, Jordan Ashburn, your top 5 overall, and in the Xc1 Pro class. Grant Baylor up to 6th in the end with Trevor Bollinger into the number 7 spot. Ricky Russell in the 8th spot when it was all said and done. Mike Witkowski was 9th, and actually, it should be Jonathan Gerard in the 9th place position, and Mike Witkowski rounding out the top 10. But regardless, hey man, the tail of the tape on that one is we've got ourselves a battle as far as GNCC championships are concerned here in the 2021 season. And dude, we're approaching the halfway point of this championship. It's hard to believe. Round 6 in the history books. We got round 7 coming up in about 3 weeks. We'll be heading to Ohio to the John Penton GNCC. Myself, Johnny Gallagher, Mikey Waynes, and all the GNCC Racing Nation will be there. Join us, will you? And of course, on behalf of all of us here at RacerTV.com, we're glad that you joined us here today from the Hoosier GNCC. We look forward to more great racing action as the season rolls on. On behalf of Johnny and Mikey, I'm Rodney. Have a great day, everybody.